Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are in for a great treat tonight. One of my favorite paranormal and rock and roll authors, Susan Masino, returns, as she's going to get the horns up, talking about all sorts of things from ghosts to rock and roll stories. We are going to have so much fun. Dirty Filth is here with another great cartoon, and the best part about tonight, all of you are here as well, including Race Fan in the gold medal position, Tim Mothman and his goatee, sharing a silver, SJ with a bronze medal tonight. Hi, Christine Lynn. Chris Laker is here. Chris Laker will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Robert Lamothe, thanks for coming on in. Hi, Michael Morris. Kitty Caddywhack. Gong Show. How you doing, my man? And Joanne, what's happening? Should I really just say and Joanne, or is it just Joanne? Please give me an update on that. I'd appreciate it. All right, Eternity Eternal. Stephen Finnegan, good morning. You're early today. Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, how are you? Bar Madison, John Lamb, and number 18 in your program, starting at center ice tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Woo am I? W. David Page, Lee the Bee. Thanks all for coming on in. Mel WD40 is here. He's lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a rock and roll show nice and smooth. You don't want any rigidness, because the music has to allow you to flow. So that's what we're doing tonight. Thank you, Mel, for the lube. All right, Necessary Dialogue. What's happening? My Flock is back. My Flock will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Ozzy, good to see you. Phyllis Boucher Perry, Pam Harris, Operation Shutdown. How you guys doing? Erico from Calgary, he's a Flames fan, so yeah, we'll welcome him anyways. All right, and scrolling on down, let us say hello next to Me Wyken and Flat Six. Good to see you both. The lovely and talented Laura Elizabeth has returned. Al Garay over on Twitch. He's rocking in the gym tonight. You're not going to believe this. He did 700 push-ups in 18 minutes. 700 push-ups, 18 minutes to warm up for Susan tonight. Guy's jacked. He's just jacked. All right. Robert Anthony, good to see you. Larry Bonds, welcome back. Why not? Who is Walter Kochabinski as well, I think. Esmeralda, how are you? Super Crazy, what's happening? Little Cam over on Twitch finally comes out of the shadows after a 2-week hiatus. You know what? That guy is jacked as well. He was leg pressing 890 pounds, 78 times, 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. Monica Davies, how are you? Good evening to you. As we continue on with our roll call. Paradox Fossils, where have you been hiding? Good to see you back. Mike Rivers, thanks for coming on in. Hi there, Candy Wolf. And Jojo Awaken, welcome to SOR Chat. Richard Minnick, thank you for coming on in. Hi, Matthew Gutka. And Marty Burback, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. One of my favorite names in the chat room lately, Hillbilly Herb. I don't bet you he looks like a hillbilly Herb. Not at all. Scott's Life, what's happening? Richard Minnick, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. We very much appreciate your love and support of SOR Nightly. Thank you very, very much, Richard. I greatly appreciate that. And Resonate, how you doing? Good to see you as we continue on with our roll call as I write things down. And who's next on our list here? Oh, Little Cam's now on YouTube. You know, he had to do 1,500 jumping jacks in order to go from Twitch to YouTube in that 29 seconds that it took him. You can't make this up. You can't. Scott's Life, how are you? And hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We very much appreciate you tuning us on in. And Susan Masino is our guest tonight. We're going to get into rock and roll and paranormal. We are very close to getting things going here. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Good morning, Ian McFadden from the UK. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. Mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out, Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chime Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chime Charities today. You can find it on our website. We got a power show of fun tonight. It's all about rock and roll. It's all about the paranormal. Author Susan Masino will join us momentarily on the show. Then in hour number 3, we have Swamp Dweller with another creepy story. Follow that up by Tim James with a very impressive and forthcoming UFO report. Susan Masino has been a rock journalist for over 30 years. She has written 6 books, created and hosted the 94.1 JJO local stage radio show from 97 to 2004. She's produced 8 local music compilations. I need to slow down. I'm butchering this. All right. Susan also appears in the Van Halen DVD, The Early Years, and Let There Be Rock, the movie. Her book story of AC/DC, Let There Be Rock, is now published in 11 languages. Most of her life, Susan has been interested in the paranormal, culminating in a self-published book entitled The Secrets of the Universe. Over the past decade, she has investigated, reported, and experienced the paranormal and is regularly interviewed by paranormal media just like us. Just like us. And you know what? We're one of her favorites. I don't know how that happened, but we are one of her favorites. Susan Masino, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio. How are you?
Oh, thank you. I'm doing great, Dave. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, we love it when you're on. Absolutely love it. But you know what? This one's a little synchronistic because I've had some weird happenings lately with some guests, like previous guests that I haven't had on in a year, 2 years, sometimes 5 years, where all of a sudden they are popping up out of the blue on my Facebook. And I'm like, hey, I haven't interviewed that person in a long time. And it just so coincides, just like you and me, where all of a sudden I reach out to you and it's like, we got to do a show. And you're like, yeah, I was just thinking about this. It's totally synchronistic how it's happening.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I know. I can't even remember how we saw each other, But as soon as I did, I was going to send you a message, and I think you sent me a message right before saying, "Hey, I need to have you back on the show." And I was going to say, "Hey, I want to be back on the show." So, so it was perfect timing.
I love it. What have you been up to?
Oh my gosh. Well, I finished a book of life stories. I'm you know, pushing it, looking for a publisher. I'm shopping it, I guess, as you would say. It is a collection. I wrote my life stories in short story form, and the book has 45 stories, all different, and some crazy, some good, some bad. But I'm looking for a deal. So if anybody's out there, I could use an agent too.
Well, couldn't I as well? If
I
you find an
know.
agent, let me know because I could use an agent as well, in order to try and get this thing going as well. But that's okay. I love your story, though. I mean, you took a fantasy and love of rock and roll and music, and you really, really lived the dream that a lot of people would have in getting to know a lot of musicians, seeing concerts as part of your daily routine. I mean, just living the life that so many aficionados have. Growing up, did you ever think that this would be the path that really set your life?
Not really. I mean, I grew up in the business. My parents were venue owners. So they had live music, and I grew up watching, bands play, load in, load out. You get to know the families and everything. So I was in love with music and the music business my entire life. But I didn't know how I was going to be part of it because I'm not a musician. I don't sing. Well, I can, but you don't want to hear it. Uh, and I just happened to hook up with a local paper here in Madison that they were reviewing bands, is what they were doing. And they didn't really want any part of me because I was a girl. And back in 1977, girls weren't writing about rock and roll. And I decided to go after that. And I worked for the first paper just for a short period of time, and then a couple of the people that I was with started their own paper, which was called the Emerald City Chronicle. And I was with them from like 77 to 79. And that's when we got to see this explosion, of rock. I mean, AC/DC, Cheap Trick, Journey, Van Halen, all these bands that, I mean, we had they rolled out the red carpet for us because you only had press, radio, and TV. So press was pretty powerful at that time. So we got, tickets, backstage passes, interviews, photo shoots, whatever we wanted. And I was really lucky to be there.
No kidding. Right place, right time. It was like a path made in heaven for you.
It was. It's funny because when I wrote my life stories, I didn't realize this, but in May of 1977, I went on a trip with a friend, kind of trying to figure out, what am I going to do with my life? And I said to her that I'm going to go back to Wisconsin after this trip, and I'm going to work in the music business. And I hadn't met anybody that would help me with that at that moment. I just said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And I realized when I was writing the stories that 3 months and 3 days to that day I said that, I met AC/DC. Is that crazy or what? And I was just sent there as a gopher. I was told to go down and, help out with the dressing room and stuff like that. And that night changed my life for sure.
That's incredible. I mean, how do you go from, small town of having, writing about music to all of a sudden meeting AC/DC?
Well, at the time, nobody knew who they were in the US. Let There Be Rock was released. They were on their Let There Be Rock tour, but they weren't getting any airplay here in the US. So I didn't know, I had seen everybody by then because when I was in high school, the Dane County Coliseum here in Madison had bands every week. And I saw everybody. I saw Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, The Who, Cream, Humble Pie, Uriah Heep, the James Gang. I saw all of them. And so when I saw AC/DC that night in a bar, I didn't know at all what they sounded like. I had not a clue. And when I saw them that night, and there was about 75 people in the club, it was $3 to get in. and they were broke. They were traveling around in a station wagon and a rider truck with 3 roadies. That was it. And I knew when I saw them perform, I said, you guys are going to be huge. You're going to be absolutely internationally famous. But who knew, 50 years later that, well, I met them 47 years later, but, they're still kicking it 50 years later. And I'm so proud of them for that.
Oh, you know what? It's funny because it doesn't matter whether you are young or old. Everybody knows an AC/DC song.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody does, and trust me, there's so much more than You Shook Me All Night Long, right? I know that one got the airplay, but I mean, if you look back, what would be your favorite AC/DC song? What's your top? I'll make it easy for you.
Yeah, one of my top AC/DC songs is Let There Be Rock. I absolutely love that song. It's just, amazing.
I think I would go with For Those About to Rock, We Salute You. Just the power of the cannons.
Oh, yeah.
And what made me fall in love with that song was when I saw AC/DC in concert in 1992 in Vancouver.
Okay.
On the Thunderstruck tour.
Yeah.
And when you see these bands that have been around forever, and you're a young kid, you only really recognize the music that's around you. But then all of a sudden they start playing all of these songs and you're like, I never knew they played this.
Oh, yeah.
And when they closed out with For Those About to Rock, We Salute You, the cannons were pointed right at me and my friends. And I was like, this is heaven. This is heaven. I think one of their most underrated songs would be Razor's Edge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Loved that song. I never understood why when that song first came out on the Razor's Edge album that it wasn't a hit.
Yeah,
They went
right.
with everything else but that one, and I'm like, dude, this is the song.
Oh, right? I know. And what's funny is when I saw them that night in August of 1977, they were already playing, High Voltage, Live Wire, Dirty Deeds, The Jack, Whole Lot of Rosie, Dog Eat Dog. They had all these songs already before, the United States really knew about them. So they had a big catalog.
You know what's funny is how many bands out there have, attribute their love of heavy metal and hard rock because of AC/DC. But they try and do all this fancy computerized stuff now, whereas, I mean, people will be shocked when you learn that Angus Young only travels on tour with 3 guitars. And his newest guitar, I think, is from like 1981 or 82.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I love that they, their whole thing is they plug, directly into the Marshalls, turn it up to 11, and that's it. There's no, pedal board. There's no, added things that are pre-recorded. I mean, nothing like that. They're just straight up, straight ahead, rock and roll. You get what this is it. You get it. And I've loved them for that for so long that they never veered away from, their signature sound. And they didn't let people influence them into, when they went to record Highway to Hell, that they were, what was it? The Eddie Kramer was supposed to produce that album before Mutt Lange got involved. And they weren't getting along with Eddie because they were in the studio down in Miami, and Eddie wanted them to add keyboards to a song. And that's like punching Malcolm right in the face. I'm sure that didn't go over good at all. So I like how they've stuck with their guns.
No, I think it's absolutely incredible the way they play, and it's just natural. It's not It's none of this electronic stuff that we hear today. I mean, and trust me, I love today's music. I'm a big fan, but I mean, it's just there's just something pure. It's like the hard rock version of what Motorhead is to metal.
Right. Yes. Yeah, very much so.
It's all about distortion and volume. It has
Mhm.
nothing to do with anything else.
Yep, nothing else. And what's funny is that one of the Monsters of Rock shows that AC/DC did with Van Halen, there's a story in my book about the fact that this guy that one of the techs put together this whole board of pedals for Angus. All the new gadgets, all the new things, and Eddie went along with him. Eddie Van Halen went along with him to take a look at it, and they went up on stage, and Angus saw all this stuff on the floor, and just kind of shook his head, and he looked over at Eddie, and he goes, "You can have this. I don't have any use for this."
Right?
It's like, no pedals for me.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. So when you started learning about all of this stuff, did you did you think that you'd be going on tours with bands? Did you think that you'd be writing life stories and history as it was going on?
Um, you know, when it was happening, the guys that I worked with at the paper, we all made jokes about who's going to write the first book because we knew at the time that we were seeing history. But it ended up, God, 20 years later, that I decided, hey, nobody ended up writing about this. And that's where my first book came out, Rock and Roll Fantasy, My Life and Times with AC/DC, Van Halen, and Kiss, because it covers from 77 to 1980. The main arc of the book is, the rise of fame of AC/DC, but also, I've got stories about everybody, Kiss, Van Halen. I mean, it just, Keith Emerson, um, I became friends with Leslie West from Mountain. Just crazy stuff like that. And I ended up writing, the first book, and no one else did from that time era. And it's sad because I'd like to hear some other viewpoints of that. But I put mine down on paper, and that kind of launched a lot.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. You had so much fun doing all of this and being able to experience these I don't even know how to call them, these dreams for a lot of people.
Hmm.
You know, when you look back on your career when it started 47 years ago to where you are today, what's the one memory that really sticks out about being around all of these bands? Is there one memory that just, or is it a culmination?
Yeah, there's so many because, of course, the first night that I saw AC/DC, that I remember every single detail of that night. But I had so much fun. I mean, I got to, get to know them. I got to know them through one of the roadies. Actually, Barry Taylor became my pen pal. And that was, before computers and cell phones and everything. And he ended up keeping in touch with me every week for the next 3 years. So I knew everything that the band was doing, and I got to see them a lot of times. And one of my favorite ones was when they were at the Riverside in Milwaukee, opening for UFO. They're finally on their way up, opening for bigger bands and things. And I got to hide behind the road cases on the stage to watch them. And so I was actually on the stage when they were playing. And oh my God, I mean, that is one of the happiest happiest nights of my life. Was just the energy coming off that stage was unbelievable. I had a great time that night.
My goodness. My goodness. I mean, did you ever think though that you would be on first name basis with all of these people? Like, hey, it's Susan. There she is. How you doing, Susan? I
I
mean,
I never thought well, it's funny because it started with AC/DC, really. I mean, I did become, friendly with some people that later got famous, like Luther Allison, who the blues guitarist that used to live and play in Madison a lot. But AC/DC really opened the door to me getting to know somebody. And then it just kind of snowballed after that. Like Leslie West, I met him the night that Van Halen and Montrose and Journey played the Riverside in Milwaukee. And Leslie West was there. He was actually living in Wisconsin with his manager at the time. He was from New York. And I ended up becoming friends with him for years. He used to call me all the time, and got to know Keith Emerson a little bit, and then years later we connected up again. And just when I was writing my Let There Be Rock book, and he, I told him about it. We hadn't seen each other in over 2 decades. He didn't remember me, of course. I remembered him, because who wouldn't, right? When I was in high school, Emerson, Lake, and Palmer were gods to me. So the fact that I even got to interview Keith was mind blowing. But we kept in touch, and then we reconnected when he played in Wisconsin. And I was just starting to write the Let There Be Rock book, and I mentioned it to him. And he said, "Oh, well, I took the boys, fishing on my boat down in the Bahamas when they were recording Back in Black." And I looked at him and said, "Wait a minute, what?" And he said he was living there at the time, and he took the guys out fishing on his boat. And I said, "Well, would you give me an interview for my book?" And he said, "Of course I will." And talk about synchronicity. I hadn't seen him in over 20 years. And then there he was, with this great story that nobody else down there was, they're experiencing the band actually recording Back in Black, and he was there. So that was really lucky.
A lot of times musicians get a bad rap for not being very human to their audience. They're kind of like robots. They perform on stage, and then once they're done, it's kind of like, get away from me. There's a little bit of ego. And I realize there has to be ego when you do something along those lines, but in reality, what are they like behind the stage in the musicians you've met?
Well, it's well, like with Van Halen, they were just trouble, when they were off stage, especially Alex. Well, they all did. They all pulled pranks and, picked on each other, and they were, a little bit out of control, which, they should be. They were Van Halen. I mean, oh my goodness. But like with AC/DC, they can play, in front of 20,000 people. You go backstage and they're sitting there, smoking a cigarette and drinking a cup of tea. And if you didn't know who they were, you would never guess that they were the guys that were just on stage. That's how low key they are, very soft
Yeah.
spoken, very laid back, not
That-
this, who I am,
yeah. 90 seconds ago, before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour, Susan Masino is our guest. You look at all of these bands, whether it's AC/DC or Guns N' Roses or, Metallica, they're still selling out at their age, in their late 50s, early 60s, late 60s for AC/DC, even Kiss. They're still selling out, 30, 40, 50, 60, 75,000 seat plus stadiums. And you look at modern rock and roll, they're lucky to get 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, depending on the size of the venue. And I think of some great bands, whether it's Hailstorm or Avatar or Disturbed is a little bit bigger. But why do you think that if the public loves rock and roll so much, a lot of these great bands today are having troubles filling a hockey or a basketball arena rather than,
Mhm.
a glorified nightclub?
Oh yeah. Well, the music business is so different than it was. And of course, these bands that are, that you mentioned that are still selling out stadiums, they've got, 40, 50 years behind them of all, album after album, hit record after hit record. And nowadays, I think that, every business is saturated, so it's really hard to, to get that big of a following. You have to have the airplay, you have to have the label support, and that's not there.
Susan Masino is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to start getting into some paranormal rock and roll. When we return, SusanMasino.com is her website. Check it on out. We'll be right back, everybody. All right, we are clear. Don't forget our audience can hear us. Dirty Filth, that's some good blobbing happening down there.
She's purring, Dave. Yeah, everybody loves you, Blob.
Mm-hmm. We love that cat. You know what?
Yeah,
I'm going to rub it into the rest of the listeners out there. Almost every night, I get a picture of Blob.
Correct.
Yeah. Resonate. That's strike 2 for insulting Axl Rose. Strike 2. You do not insult the second greatest frontman in the history of rock and roll. Freddie Mercury's number 1. My opinion, Freddie Mercury's number 1. You know what? I'm going to have to find Resonate, and him and I are going to have to drop the gloves. I'm offended. I don't get offended. Okay, I'm not woke. Okay, but these are fighting words right now. Pretty much. Hi, Vanessa. Sierra. Of course, Axl let himself go. He's 63 years old. Hold on, 1962 he was born. He's 62 years old.
I think he's earned it.
Oh, Carrie Underwood does a great rendition of Guns N' Roses song. I'm not saying that there's a problem whatsoever, but the comment that Axl should retire and that he sounds terrible in concert, them's fighting words. I'm. Where's my tinfoil? I got to start knuckling up here. Oh, Vince Neil is horrible. What happened to Vince Neil? It's like he's like chewing on a cheeseburger every time he turns his back. Oh my God.
Jeez. Big Mac 103.
DJ Ashba is one of my favorite guitarists too. I just wish he would stay with rock and roll rather than his GDM. Mm-hmm. You know, I will say this though. You know, as much as I can't stand El Avni Volador, he is a Guns N' Roses fan. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that's why I gave it to you to pick it up. I couldn't get into it because I don't know your code. Well, all you had to do was swipe. And I did, and it wouldn't let me do it. You know, I don't know. Somebody from San Francisco phone number. That's why I handed it to you. My gosh. Bagel Dogs, how you doing? Danzig was good. Except they overplayed Mother too many times. I can't stand that song. Mother. He's like the 80s version of Eddie Vedder. Every song sounds like Mother. Eddie Vedder. Oh, no. Uh-huh. Oh, I could talk rock and roll all night long. Look at Susan's in here just laughing right now, right? She's like, shut the hell up, you guys. Right? I'm gonna be doing that all night now. Doing my Danzig impression. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Susan muted herself, or maybe I muted her. No, I did. I don't know why. It was an accident. Thank you to Mel WD40 for lubing us up with that super chat. Richard as well. Greatly appreciate the love. And we got like 30 seconds. Susan, you're one of my favorites.
Oh, thank you. I love talking to you. It's so easy.
And if you could ever put me in touch with Susanna Hoffs, I will love you forever. Because I still love her.
Oh,
I
she
want to
looks
walk
great.
like an Egyptian because of her.
Yeah, she looks great still.
I know she
Yeah,
does.
she
Oh
looks
my God.
fantastic.
Yes, she's refused to age.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
so in love. So in love. Yeah. Actually, screw it. The whole Bangles band was hot. They were. All right, we got like 10 seconds here. Walk like an Egyptian. Oh. Here we go, everybody. Second half hour of rock and roll talk is underway on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Our guest is Susan Masino. We're going to get into rock and roll paranormal next with her. But first, on our line only that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives. YouTube at Spaced Out Radio and every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. SusanMassino.com is her website. You can find Susan's books about rock and roll, about the paranormal right there. And she is literally one of the best interviews this show has ever had. Susan, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Oh, it's an honor, Dave. It really is. I love being on your show.
We were right before the break. I'd asked you about rock and roll today. How, I mean, you get a lot of these great bands out there, you know, struggling to fill 5,000-6,000 seats.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who would be your 2024 favorite bands if we look, say, the past decade?
Ooh, that's that's hard. There's so many. There's some that I've noticed that are playing more the traditional rock and roll style. Like there's one band called The Feel. Another one is called Gunshine. And there's a couple more like that are kind of bringing that vibe back, you know, the Led Zeppelin type. Well, like Greta Van Fleet, only, you know. Yeah, like that. And I like those kind of bands. I like bands that kind of, you know, have the more the bluesy, old school kind of sound to them.
There was just a tour coming through British Columbia, and I'm so upset that I missed it. It was The Warning opening up for Hailstorm, opening up for Evanescence.
Ooh.
And like that's three bands that I wanted to see, and I just could not get time off, you know, to go see them. But I was just like, oh, damn it. You know, I just wanted to see them so bad. I mean, I took my son to see 2 years ago to see his first rock concert. It's a Swedish metal band called Avatar.
Okay.
And they are absolutely fantastic, by the way. And the lead singer, Johannes, his vocals are absolutely incredible. There was 3 bands, and my tickets were $35. And the venue was right in downtown Vancouver at a place called the Orpheum, which has been a rock and roll stage for, I think Chuck Berry even played there.
Oh, cool.
Right. Like going way back. And, you know, we just walked right up to the front row. And my little guy was just, you know, horns up, banging his head right there. And it was phenomenal. But that's one thing I do love about rock and roll today is that it is at smaller venues that you can actually interact with the band still. So I guess there is that benefit.
Yeah. No, I know my son is a big Death Clock fan. And, you know, they're a TV show, but there's actually a band that plays. And he went and in New York, he went and saw them live and got to meet is it Brendan Smalls, who created the show and everything. And he got to meet the one the lead singer that has the super low voice. I can't remember what his name is, but my son got pictures with him and everything, and he was just thrilled. And he got me hooked on their cartoon show.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was cool.
At what point do you remember hearing your first paranormal story through the rock and roll scene?
Oh my goodness. There's been so many. I mean, I don't know if I can remember like the very first one, but just all kinds of things. Like Bon Scott after he passed away. There was a story that came from one of the wives of the band members that they were recording Razor's Edge. And as you mentioned before, Thunderstruck and everything, and they came in one day after recording, and there were backing vocals on a song that they had not put backing vocals on yet, and it sounded just like Bon. So I don't think anytime that they're around, you just know he's there. He's still part of the band in some way, shape, or form, But yeah, they actually, and when I was writing my book, Bon totally was haunting me when I was working on Let There Be Rock. He
How was he
yeah.
haunting you?
He did a lot of things to me. And he came to me in my dreams, because I was freaking out. I had like at the time like 32 years of history to cover, and I wanted it to be very, correct and accurate. And he would come to me when was flipping out, and I'd ask him, I need some support here, and he would literally show up in my dreams. And then one night, I used to write at home in my living room after my son went to bed, and my ex-husband was downstairs in his studio. And I was writing about Bon, and it was hard to write, of course, about his death, but it was sad in a lot of ways because he was so much fun in the story that when he left the story, then it was like a whole different thing. But I'm working on Bon, and my ex comes upstairs, and he's crabby, and he goes, what do you want? And I said, what do you mean, what do I want? I'm writing. And he says, you've been yelling at me to come upstairs. What do you want? And I said, I haven't yelled at you to come upstairs. I said, I'm working. Leave me alone. When I'm writing, it's like, don't stop the process. And I don't even know if he believed me. And he went downstairs. And then right after that happened, somebody was like right up against my ear, and they like exhaled into my ear. And I knew it was Bon. And I turned and I looked at, my living room, and I said, you can read over my shoulder, but don't make noise. Said, that's enough. And he left me alone. He didn't make any noise after that. But he made his presence known a lot during the writing of that book. He really did. So that was one of the first things that, happened to me. But Eddie Van Halen, when I went to they have a Roth room on the 7th floor of the Sheraton Madison Hotel. They took some people that don't know, Van Halen terrorized the 7th floor of the Sheraton Hotel on their first tour. And they dedicated it. It's in the dedication on their second album. So what the hotel did a few years back in 2020, is they took some of the old rooms that they actually stayed in and made it into a conference room called the Roth Room. They couldn't get clearance to use the Van Halen room. So it's the Roth Room. And I gave them a lot of memorabilia, and then they, got pictures and, guitar picks. So it's really cool. If you're ever in Madison and you go to the Sheraton, if there's not a conference in the room, you can go see it. But I was there for the weekend, and I was doing a book signing for my book, Let There Be Rock, was updated in 2020. So I came there to do a book signing, to celebrate my birthday, and to kind of unveil the Roth Room. And I had we had 2 rooms. I had a friend with me in my room and 2 friends across the hall. And when they were in my room, there was somebody always making noise in the room, like in the bathroom or whatever. And everybody was asking about, going, "What's that? Who's that? Is there somebody in the bathroom?" And I said, and I was thinking Eddie Money, because Eddie Money had already passed. And I knew Eddie Money, and I had partied with him and his band at the Sheridan also. So I was calling this entity who was making noise and trying to bug us, Eddie. I was calling him Eddie. And I said, "That's enough, Eddie. Okay, we've heard enough." And so the first night, and I did not know that Eddie Van Halen was in his last days. I had no idea. And so the first night, we did the book signing, and my girlfriend falls asleep, and I can't sleep. I'm just hyped out, and I'm laying there, and all of a sudden somebody comes up to my left ear and just exhales into my face. I can feel the breath on my face. And I was so tired, and I'm not, that doesn't scare me. That kind of stuff doesn't scare me. And I said, in my mind, I said, "Okay, Eddie," I said, "either leave so I can sleep, or climb in and help me go to sleep." And then I fell asleep. So then the next night, we're there, and we're having a good time now. I'm celebrating my birthday, so we're partying. We partied very late. And and people commented again about the bathroom, that there was all these noises going on. And I said, "Oh, it's just Eddie. He's just trying to pick on us. Don't worry about it." And that night, my girlfriend fell asleep first, and I was laying there awake in the dark. And all of a sudden, she lets out this blood curdling scream. And you freeze. I mean, I figure somebody's in the room. We're both going to be murdered. Why would, I mean, you don't want to hear that out of somebody that's sound asleep. And before I could even react to it, she sat up in bed and burst out laughing. And I said, "What is going on? What happened?" And she goes, "Oh my God, this guy, he had dark hair. He came up to me on the side of the bed, and he shoved his face in my face and scared the hell out of me." And again, I said, "All right, Eddie, that's enough." I said, we get it. You're here. Well, that was, we checked out on the 4th of October. And as I'm driving out of the parking lot, Jump comes on the radio. And then 2 days later, Eddie passed. And I have a feeling that it was Eddie Van Halen that was checking out the Roth room.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing. Like a precursor of getting ready to where he's going to go.
Right, right. And it's funny, when they showed me the Roth room, as soon as I walked in and I said, "The Roth room," I said, "Oh man, Alex and Ed are going to hate this." So that might have been a little bit of his motivation of like, "What's going on here? Why is it the Roth room?"
No kidding. No kidding. When you talk to other musicians about things, and I mean, everybody has those conversations that are outside of what's going on stage or what's going on with the band, and and I think musicians can appreciate that, because they get so sick and tired of, because everybody wants to know, what's it like being in AC/DC, or what's it like being in Van Halen, or is so and so's ego bigger in real life than what we hear in the press, and everything, so on and so forth. But when you get into those intimate conversations with them, had you ever had a conversation with any of them just to talk about hauntings at locations, or seeing weird things on the road?
Actually, when I was in the thick of that, I wasn't so much in the paranormal world yet. So I didn't really talk to them, or ask them about that. But I think that's what kind of set me apart as a writer and a journalist, though, is that I never asked them, what it's like to be in AC/DC, or
Yeah.
do you get along with this guy or whatever. We would talk about family and being on the road, and what AC/DC always reverted back to was the night that we met, and they would always talk about Bond. So he was always talked about, but I had fun talking to them as just people. The same with Keith Emerson, when they were traveling with this orchestra. Okay. That didn't last long because of the cost and the logistics. But the record company told me, don't mention the orchestra. Don't upset him. Well, he and I hit it off, and it's the first thing I asked him, what's going on with the orchestra? And he's like, oh my God, it's a nightmare. And, and he tells me the whole thing, that we thought it was a good idea. It's costing us a fortune. It's not working. And, all of that. And I used to have fun doing that, asking them things that I was told not to mention. So I got a lot of good answers.
But when you build up a trust as a journalist, it doesn't matter whether it's sports or whether it's rock and roll. When you're dealing with people who are put on a pedestal, they're looking for that human interaction.
Oh,
I remember when I covered sports in Vancouver, there were a couple of Canucks players. It was never talked about. They never came up to me and said, hey man, I need you to do me a favor. It was just a look that if we were in a scrum and people were just asking annoying questions, they'd just kind of look at me to kind of refocus the angle of what was happening. And I knew my cue. I'd been there long enough to understand that. And you get reading these people because you're around them so much.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's what I love the best about when I met AC/DC. We have a over 40-year joke, because the first night that I met them, and like I said, I had seen everything in rock, in my opinion. Well, I hadn't heard Van Halen yet. They came along a couple months later. But I told them right out the night that I met them, I said, it's going to take a couple of years, maybe even 3 years from now. I had no idea that Bond would be gone and Back in Black would be released 3 years later. But I told them, I said, you are going to be internationally famous, and someday you're going to be as big as the Rolling Stones, which they thought was hysterical. But they ended up playing, a show in at the SARS benefit. They were the Stones headlined, but AC/DC kind of blew them off the stage. And they loved the Stones. I didn't know that they looked up to the Stones. I didn't know them the night I met them, but I told them that, and that they never accept that compliment though. When I bring it up, that'll be like the last thing. The last time I saw Angus, I said to him, now can I say that you guys are as big as the Rolling Stones? And right away, it took him half a second. He goes, nope, Mick and Keith will always be taller than us. So, very humble.
Could you go to a concert today and just have them all of a sudden see your name on the list and be like, hey, we remember her, let's bring Susan backstage?
Yeah, luckily it's been that way the whole time. I see them when they're on tour, and I usually get tickets, and I get, backstage pass when it's possible, which it's been a lot. I mean, I've, got to I saw them on the Black Ice tour. I actually saw them 4 times, and I got to visit with them twice, 2 different times that they played Chicago, and then I got to see them in Italy in May of 2010. I was invited there to do a book signing, and I actually got to see AC/DC at a stadium in Italy, and they to 47,000 people. And I got to throw in this story. It's so cute. I was in touch with Phil Rudd's daughters, a couple of them. They, the age range. They're much older now. But I had seen them. This was going to be my 4th time, and I was thrilled. I mean, I got invited there by the Bureau of Tourism. Because they only played one city on that tour in Italy, and it was in Udine, which is up by where Venice, up in the northern part of Italy. And I got to go, and I was just absolutely thrilled. Well, the night before, one of Phil's daughters got a hold of me, and she says, I heard you're not going to be able to see the band after the show tonight, and it's my dad's birthday, and I know my dad will want to see you, and you need to tell the tour manager, that you need to get backstage. And she was like, kind of telling me to scold him. And I sent her a nice note back, and I said, oh, no. I said, because they were flying in and out of Vienna when they were when they played Italy, Norway, all of those dates. They were flying in and out of Vienna every night. So as soon as they got off the stage, they got on the plane, they were gone. So I knew I wasn't going to see them that night. And I'm up there in the audience, in the VIP section, with the lieutenant governor who paid for my trip. I mean, it was just surreal. And I told Phil's daughter, I said, tell Phil that happy birthday. I'm going to be out there screaming for him and just give him my love. And she said she would. And you know that the band does not wear logo t-shirts on stage. I don't think that you can find any other show that a band member, maybe way back in the day, but they always wore the black t-shirts and then Angus's schoolboy outfit. Well, they start playing that night on Phil Rudd's birthday, May 19th, 2010. And all of a sudden they do put Phil on the Jumbotron, and Phil's wearing a Wisconsin Harley Davidson t-shirt. That was kind of his way of saying, we know you're out there. So
That's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I got a little teary. I teared up. I was like, and you can find that on YouTube, that show. And you can look at, they were on tour for 19 months on the Black Ice tour. And you won't ever see any of them wearing a logo t-shirt except for that night. So that was really special.
My 11-year-old son wants to see them.
Oh, I hope he can.
Yes. He's on a good run right now. His last 2 concerts were Iron Maiden and Guns N' Roses.
Nice.
So, yeah, this was a pretty weak year for concerts in Vancouver. Didn't really get into any this year, but next year for sure.
Oh, yeah.
We got about 3 minutes before we have to go to break. At the top of the hour, Susan Masino is our guest tonight. You love the paranormal. You love the supernatural. It's a big part of who you are. You don't talk about your intuition enough, I don't think. But I know you.
Oh yeah. I'm a psychic empath.
How do you tie it all together between the music, the love of music, and the love to talking to spirit?
I think it's all mixed together because music, brings so much out of you. You can hear a song and it brings back a memory from how many years ago. And music has just always been part of my life. And then my grandmother started me on the paranormal journey as a little kid, when she told me that her mother came back to her after she died to say goodbye to her. And the fact that, she told me that, and she believed in life after death. She was very matter of fact about it. And that's what started the whole thing for me, is like, I've always been fascinated with it. And I've seen ghosts. I've heard them. Sometimes I can hear them. And I think I've helped move people on at certain points. I've been to, Gettysburg, Bobby Mackey's Music Hall, Deadwood, South Dakota. I lived in Savannah for 7 years. Lots of stuff. I've seen a lot.
And when you bring it all together and tie it all together, because of your connection to music and your intuition, do you have a lot of these musicians that have moved on, even maybe ones that you haven't met, come chat with you?
Not ones that I haven't met, but Malcolm, I have seen in my dreams. Also, Bon many times. Bon has come to my dreams. It's weird because I keep a dream journal, and when I see anybody in the band AC/DC in my dreams, I will write it down. And I wrote down 5 years before this that I was in a bright sunny day with Angus and Malcolm. We're backstage and we're laughing at the tour manager who is speaking to a roadie who is speaking Italian. And 5 years later, I was at a bright sunny day outdoor concert in Italy seeing the band. So it's a weird connection.
It is a totally weird connection.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever go out of your way to try and connect with, some of the people who are out there, or you just wait for them to come to you?
I kind of wait, but it depends. Like I said, when I was writing my Let There Be Rock book, I asked Bond for help, and he sent it. He really helped me out a lot during the writing of that book. So I'll reach out sometimes, but usually it just kind of happens.
Oh, I love it. Susan, we're going to go to break here momentarily on Spaced Out Radio, and we have you for another hour where we're going to get into a lot of your paranormal experiences and writing along with it. SusanMasino.com is her website. You can find her books there. We'll be right back with Paranormal Talk on Spaced Out Radio. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Susan, we're going to take a break here. We're going to turn things over to the dirty one here. That was good blobbing earlier, man.
Now she's all passed out on top of the couch. There will be snacks delivered after this, Dave.
Good. Give her an extra treat from all of us.
I'll give her some of the special treats. Excuse me.
Dave, do I have enough time to take a quick break?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's like 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. I'll be right back.
I'll just sit here and ramble into the space. Hello, Tim Mothman and Beard. Excuse me. Hope everyone's having a good time. Did another little goblin guy. So I can stick it on a t-shirt or a mug or a poster or something. Also, it's a... Oh, yes, Melvin, there will be some... We got these... What's this? Catnip. But these little tiny... They're little sticks of... They're really stinky. It's catnip and cheese and stuff. And the gremlin really likes them. But he's just an orange boy, so he's a pig anyways. Hello, Love, and Jennifer, and everyone else. Undies. No. Yeah, it would be a pretty cool button or a pin. I should buy myself a button maker. I've contemplated it before. I wonder how many buttons could I make in one day, I wonder. To buy like an industrial strength one of some sort. Resonate won $2 million in his dream and spent it on a Lamborghini. If I had $2 million, the first thing I would do is I would buy a pizza. Absolutely. First thing, and then, I don't know, I'd give the rest to Mrs. Filth because she's extremely intelligent with that stuff. I'd be like, here you go, whatever. Deal with it. Invest in Element 115 or something. Oh, excuse me. Patches for denim jackets. I still got one of my old heavy metal jackets. 1,000 bad patches. Half of them are sewn on. Half of them are just safety pinned on, and they're all rusted. It's walking tetanus shot. Patches. Yeah. Patches and stickers are always good. Actually, what I do with my old heavy metal shirts and band shirts, junk, once they get all tattered and torn up, I just cut the logos out and then sew them onto a blank shirt. It also has a nice aesthetic to it. Punk music. Ugh. I've never painted a jacket, Ian, but a good friend of mine does. He paints jackets with these extremely intricate, I don't know, not geological, oh boy, what's the other word? Geometrical, that's the word I'm looking for. He paints interesting geometrical patterns on jackets and whatnot. Pretty neato. Peter Pan. I'd love to have Peter Pan boots. Let me scroll up here. Well, Ian, I don't know, possibly. Make a quilt out of them. I could probably do that. I don't know, they're really thin and worn out because I've had some of them for a long time. Thanks, Polly. Hand painted denim jeans. I don't know. I did body painting once. Didn't turn out how I don't know. It was weird. Didn't turn out how I figured it was going to turn out.
That's because you were trying on your chest hair.
Yeah, just shaving crop circles into my chest hair. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I have to give the blob some snacks now. She's whining. Yep.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yep, I can hear her. All right, buddy.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night. That's Dirty Filth, everybody. Filthy.com is his website. Make sure you get his book. It's pretty awesome. Let's see here. We got about a minute, Susan.
Okay.
And then we're going to get going again. This is so much fun. Tim here, my UFO guy who's right on the other side of this camera, he's like just freaking out over you right now.
Oh, I've had my UFO experiences. I haven't written about them, though.
Oh, let's get into it.
But yeah.
Thank you to Richard, Mel WD40, and Deborah Rooney for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love, everybody. And don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff out in public and be proud of it. Hi, Kimberly Burgess. Hi, Ian McFadden. Good morning to you. Free your mind. How you doing? Jennifer Beveridge. Nice to see you. And I think we are caught up on people. Here we go. Here we go with the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Musician. Musician is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Here's Susan Masino, rock and roll, paranormal. We're going to get into some of her ghost and UFO stories here because not only is she a rock and roll guru, but she loves everything ghostly. Susan, welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk some ghosts here.
Okay.
Let's do that. Let's talk some ghosts.
Oh my goodness, where do I start?
Well, you tell me because I know you got quite a few of them.
Yeah, well, I've seen shadow people. I've seen, like balls of light. I've known when somebody, I'll see somebody maybe in my own apartment out of the corner of my eye, and then, I use my white light and try to move them on so they're not here in my apartment. But I kind of had a pact with Savannah that nothing was going to happen to scare me because I had to live there. And there was a big field across from my apartment complex, and I had a very big porch, deck, if you will. And my sister, who's also has psychic abilities, she was out there one night, and the road in front of me went in front of me, and then it did a 90-degree turn to the left, and then went down about, I don't know, a couple blocks, but it was all along a tree line. We called it the vortex because it just, it seemed like all the weird stuff was always on that road. And one night she was out there and I was taking a shower, and all of a sudden she came running in the bathroom just screaming. And I said, what is it? What is it? And she saw a guy at the end of the road, and he made it to the corner where he would turn to be in front of my building within seconds. He was gliding, and my sister just lost it, and I missed out. I didn't get to see it. So then a friend of mine comes to visit, and my sister is also there, and they're outside on the deck. I didn't get to see it, but my girlfriend sees a guy coming down the road along the front of my building, and she thinks he's carrying a pool cue or something over his shoulder. And all of a sudden she realizes it's a soldier, and it's a rifle. And she threw my sister up against the wall and said, "Get out, he's got a gun." And then he turned the corner, we call the vortex, and disappeared. So there was always stuff going on in Savannah. I mean, Savannah is really, really haunted. And then also, if you want to have experiences, you should check out Gettysburg. Very heavy energy there. But oh my God, I had so many things happen to me when I stayed for 2 nights in Gettysburg. And we stayed at the Farnsworth house, and everything. I mean, you're hearing people, hearing people walk. I heard kids in the hallway laughing the next day when I woke up. They were running around, shutting doors and laughing. And I was thinking, it's sunny out. Can you go outside? And then when I checked out, I asked about the kids, and they just laughed at me, and they said, "Oh, that's Jeremy and Sissy. They're not, we don't have any kids staying here." It was a little boy that he died in the bathroom of one of the rooms at the Farnsworth after being hit by a horse and buggy. And so they hear him all the time. So, yeah. And then when I went out on the battlefield, that was heart-wrenching. It really was. I was out there for probably less than 2 hours, and I could taste blood in my mouth. It was really heavy. And I don't agree with this. I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I don't like the fact that they reenact the Civil War every summer. Because a lot of soldiers, they don't know that they're gone. They're still there. They're still stuck there. And I actually saw on TV one night that these guys were doing the reenacting, and they were out in the field, dressed in period clothing and all that. And these 2 soldiers came up to them and gave them some bullets to use. So they said they handed it to them, and then they took off, and they said, "You guys are going to need these." And then when the guys walked away, they realized that the bullets that they had given him were from the 1800s. They're kind of gunpowder with rolled in paper, and that's what these 2 guys, who were obviously probably ghosts, gave these 2 reenactors. So I think that when they reenact the Civil War every summer, they're not giving anybody any rest doing that. So
Yeah, it's kind of sad how we do that, and I realize with the tourism aspect and the historic aspect, I can understand where people are wanting to do that. But I mean, it is still tough, because the one thing that I haven't been able to figure out about the paranormal is, are we watching a timeline of what happened in the past play out in present time, or are they really ghosts? That's something I haven't been able to figure out.
Well, it's funny. It's like Einstein believed that the past, present, and future are all happening at the same time, which is interesting, because if you think that, and this is kind of hard to put into words, but if we were created by someone, that we were a thought for them, if that makes any sense, you can't separate a thought. You can't separate the past, present, and future in a thought. So I think that we cross over a lot. That we think they're ghosts, which that's one way to look at it. But I think that they might actually be still existing in their timeline, and sometimes we cross over into each other's timelines. So they're like
Have you
there's a street in London that people have claimed that when they walk down this particular street, it's in Liverpool, that they sometimes they see images from the 20s or the 1800s or the 1960s. It's so crazy, and it's happened to dozens of people. So makes you wonder.
well, it happened during World War II where these people were flying
Mhm.
and they were flying over this runway that they were supposed to land at. And they ended up seeing everything on fire like it had been bombed.
Ooh.
And there, when they came back around through the clouds, everything was back to normal. And then,
Oh,
like a couple months later, that same runway area for the RAF was actually bombed by the Germans.
oh my goodness. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it just, well, during World War II, also, the the term Foo Fighters is actually referring to both the Japanese and American pilots reported balls of light that would fly with them. And I don't know, if they were helping them or protecting them or doing something. But then after, we dropped the bombs on Japan, that's when the aliens got some aliens, not all of them, but but that's when the aliens, that's when Roswell happened. And I found out in my research that kind of a bomb, a hydrogen bomb, actually affects more than our dimension. And that's why when we dropped those bombs, they were like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" I don't think they were very happy.
No, I don't think they were very happy whatsoever. In your paranormal experiences, have you ever had a poltergeist activity happen?
Um, Not so much that. I mean, I've seen some, I haven't seen like things move kind of thing, but I've had so many tricks played on me. And this is, kind of a poltergeist thing, but I was at my home in the summer, out on my deck. My car keys were in the kitchen drawer where they always were. It was a 4th of July celebration, and my son and his friends had already gone down to the park. And my sister and I had this sliding glass door that would never lock. You had to like slam it 4 times to get it to lock, right? Well, we go out on the deck, our purses, our phones, everything are in the house. My sister shuts the door behind her, and it locks. It locked us out of the house. I don't have my phone or anything. So I go to my car thinking, oh my God, maybe I left my keys in the car and I can get back into the house. Keys, of course, they weren't in the car. I had to go to a neighbor to use the cell phone to call my son to come back to the house with a house key and let us in. So he did. And he said, Mom, I ran all the way back. It was, like a mile or so. And he said, I ran all the way up here to unlock the house. Would you give me a ride back to the park? And I said, absolutely. And I opened my kitchen drawer and my car keys weren't there. And
What?
I was like, what? They're always there. I mean, that's where I put them. I went out in the car, and I'm not kidding you. My car keys were in the ignition of the car.
No way.
Yeah. I wished for them to be there because I was hoping, oh my God, I never leave my keys in the car. But I'm thinking at that moment, oh, maybe I left the keys in the car and we can get back in the house. This will, then I won't have to try to get a hold of my son or anything. And no, they weren't in the kitchen drawer. They were actually in the ignition of the car. So
Oh,
I
that's
get
nothing
stuff
short
like
of
that.
creepy.
Oh
That
yeah.
is nothing short of creepy at all. Holy cow.
Yeah, no, just the usual. That house where we lived here in Madison, I think it might have been built on a burial ground because it had a slope in the backyard, and we actually found a real arrowhead one day in the yard. And my girlfriends, my psychic girlfriends used to make jokes about that, we were on a burial ground. And we had so much activity in that house. It was ridiculous. I mean, I saw shadow figures. Other people would see shadow figures. There was always activity going on. And, so I've seen full body apparitions. I went to the Titanic exhibit in Chicago in 2000. Yeah, in 2000, and I saw a guy in a boiler room shoveling coal. I thought it was a painting. That's what my mind did when I saw him. He was by the boilers, and I thought he was an oil painting. And I thought, wow, that's really, they went all out to really show us what it was like, and the heavy woolen clothes that they were wearing, everything. And we were with a crowd that we got pushed closer and closer to that side of the room, and there was mirrors on both sides. But I saw a painting, a life-size painting of this man. And luckily my daughter saw it too, but when we went up to the painting, I looked up and he turned and looked at us. He looked like he was terrified, and he scared us like beyond. I mean, when a painting moves, something's wrong, right? And I closed my eyes really quick because I was like, oh, what, and I opened my eyes and I'm looking at myself in the mirror. There's no painting, there's no man, there's nothing. And my daughter saw the same thing, luckily. Otherwise, people would, think I'm completely crazy, but I do have a witness.
Yeah, that's enough to, get your spooks up. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
In our local museum, we have this house, and inside the house, there's a kitchen, obviously. And somebody one of the museum people put a porcelain doll, baby doll, in a high chair, and it's staring out towards the doorway. That thing gives me the creeps so bad. Like, not much gives me the creeps in paranormal.
Yeah,
But
I don't like dolls.
Oh, no.
Mm-mm.
No,
Nope.
not this thing just creeps me right out.
Oh, yeah.
Creeps me right out.
Yeah, when there's a hotel, the Marshall Hotel in on Broughton Street in Savannah is very haunted. And it was used as a hospital during the Civil War, where they had to amputate people's limbs, and they would throw them out the window into a pile. And there's supposedly a soldier that you can see in the hallway sometimes that is missing an arm. And he's walking in the hallway, but some tourists rented a room there, and there was a doll on the bed. And they left their camera on because there was some weird things going on in that room. They left their camera on while they were gone, and that doll moved by itself.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm like, not staying there. Not going to sleep there. Sorry.
I want to ask you, tie this one into music here for a second.
Okay.
Because I don't know, recently this topic's kind of been on my mind. I figure you're a good person to chat about with it. And it involves the paranormal and music, as I said. Mm-hmm. Have you ever studied the case of the Crossroad?
I know about it. I can't say I'm an expert at it, but I'm very aware of it. And, started with Robert Johnson.
Yes.
But, the funny thing about that, though, and I don't want to take the glamour away from the story of that. He left town. He was a guitar player, a good guitar player, obviously, and he left town for a while. And then when he came back, he could play, anything on the guitar. And they claimed that he sold his soul to the devil to do that at a place where it's called the Crossroads. And that's where the legend happened. But if you really study what he did, is they used to use the trains to travel, jump on a train and get to another city kind of thing. And he left the South and spent like a year in Chicago playing guitar. And then when he came back, he was really, really good at playing guitar. So I'm sure he had some good teachers up there too at the time. So, he went away and he came back, he was a lot better, and they attributed it to him, selling his soul for that, which is,
What do you think of the legends of these musicians that allegedly sold their soul?
I think there's a lot of them that have done that, and it's sad to see that because now more and more, we're getting more and more stories of people that come out and actually talk about that, and it's scary, but it happens.
I'm looking at a list here, and it goes from Jimmy Page to Robert Johnson to John Lennon to Bob Dylan and Snoop Dogg and many others who people allege the Rolling Stones apparently have a deal with the devil that they have to keep on touring, and that's why they're in their 80s now, and Keith Richards is about, I don't know, 1947 years old or whatever he is. And
They're
that's
still
the
doing
reason,
it.
and that's the reason why is it's part of their deal. When you've heard the music legends before, obviously being into the paranormal, I'm not calling you an expert on it or anything, but being into the whole music theme of everything, and combined with what you just said that you think it's happened a lot, why do you think musicians do this?
Well, the more that I've heard actually in the last couple of years is that a lot of them don't have a choice. It's either you want the fame and the fortune and you sell your soul for that. And if you don't do that, then you don't go anywhere. You don't become famous and you don't become, rich. And there's a lot of, it's a very, dark side of the business, and when you look at like the 27 Club, how many musicians have died at the age of 27, going back to Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, so many people that died at that age. But did they? I mean, was it an accidental overdose, or was it, was it planned? Did somebody do that to them? Because, like Whitney Houston, look what they did to her. I mean, she was worth more money dead than she was alive. The same with Michael Jackson. So a lot of times when you see these rock stars that die, it's like, did they really die from what you think they died of, or were they taken out?
Do you
So,
think there's a lot of that going on in the
oh yeah,
music industry?
yes, absolutely.
Why do you think that? That's a big conspiracy.
It is. But when you look at some of these interviews and everything, like Michael Jackson had the Beatles catalog, which Sony wanted full ownership of. Michael Jackson was telling people before he died that they were going to take him out, that he was talking about it and he was going to reveal the dark side. Prince, the same thing. He was talking about things he wasn't supposed to talk about, and his publishers or record company wanted his unreleased music, and he wouldn't give it to them. Same with Michael Jackson. He wouldn't give up the Beatles catalog. Well, once he's gone, guess who got the Beatles catalog? So, might be a conspiracy, but not all of it. It's very interesting.
That is extremely interesting on that part, because I never thought about it that way. That's for sure. We got about a minute to go here before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Susan Masino is our guest tonight. Do you think then, like I know Jimmy Page, for instance, has a real interest in the occult. Does that mean he sold his soul as well?
It's very possible. Yeah, he was very into it, very involved into it. So, and I think once you get in it, you don't really get out. There's, it's kind of a pact that you can't change.
We're seeing all sorts of music pacts these days.
I know.
I mean, you look at this whole Diddy situation right now.
Yep.
I mean, that thing, let's just hope that he doesn't, all of a sudden be found, unalived in prison somewhere, because that's going to get real interesting.
Oh
That's
yeah.
going to be the next O.J. Simpson type trial. I want to
Yeah.
see. I'm pumped up for that one. Pumped up. Susan, when we come back, we're going to continue learning about your UFO stories when we come back on Spaced Out Radio. SusanMasino.com is her website. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
I swear that was only about 5 minutes of airtime in that half hour. That was so fast.
I know. Isn't it weird? I can't believe we're an hour and a half into this already.
I know. It's crazy.
It doesn't seem like we've been talking that much at all. It just flies by.
No. No. That whole, I would love to find somebody who could talk about the crossroads. Like, I got to look for a blues historian or somebody like that, because I think it's happened a lot more. Because the crossroads is apparently everywhere.
Right.
Like, no specific spot. It just shows up one day, like, it's almost like you put a call out, and then it shows up, and that's where you have your meeting at the crossroads. Now, I did read this on the internet. It says, what does it mean to sell your soul in the music industry? It says selling your soul doesn't involve any supernatural entities. Instead, it's a metaphorical concept. It refers to the act of sacrificing artistic integrity for the sake of fame, success, and financial gain. It's about making compromises that may conflict with an artist's original vision or values. That's a sellout. That's not selling your soul.
Right.
That's a sellout. Like, people have thought for years now, ever since the Black Album, that Metallica sold out.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yep.
But you don't see, them selling your soul to the devil. Like, there's a famous clip on YouTube of Bob Dylan talking about selling his soul.
Ooh, well, that's not good. Because I don't know. I mean, especially with the whole thing with P. Diddy now and all the disclosure coming out.
That's going to break down empires.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Empires.
Yep.
I really hope that comes out, because we got screwed with the other guy and his island, and I don't even want to mention his name because it gets flagged right away,
right?
Unfortunately, but because censorship. It's like having to say unalived now. Like, how dumb have we dumbed down society?
I know, isn't that crazy? It's like certain things you can't say.
Yeah.
And
I could go on a video right now on Facebook and just drop 25 F-bombs and it'll allow it. Yeah. But if I'm monetized and I do that, it literally gets bounced.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But if that list comes out and the names that are being thrown around right now, and if you take a look, if you can believe the gossip rumors of how many musicians now have kind of disappeared to Europe.
Oh yeah.
Or
a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yep. Movie stars too.
Yeah.
Yep. They're in the films. I mean, that's the thing, is that he filmed everything.
Oh, yeah.
Stupid move. You would think you wouldn't do that, but he used that against people. That's how he had power over people. So.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear that. Keith McCormick, how you doing? Resonate. I'm not even paying attention to you after the Axl Rose comments earlier. You're making good points, but I'm not paying attention. No. No. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's Deborah Rooney right there. Deborah Rooney. Oh, yeah. You know, just wait for Suge Knight to open up in prison.
Oh, my God.
Right. Now, that dude could bring it down if he wanted. Oh, yeah. And he's angry enough to do it.
Yeah, that's crazy what's been coming out, according to the whole case and the people that he was involved with.
Oh, I want to see it come out so bad.
Yeah, I've seen some clips of the parties. They've actually, like on TikTok, you can see those.
Yeah. Oh.
You see
All
familiar
right,
faces.
right there, because we're coming back here in 10 seconds. Thank you to Major Lee, Deborah Rooney ×2, Mel WD40 for the lube chat, and Richard, thank you very much. We're coming back in 5 seconds, everybody. Or like 7. But I'll just say 5 because it's 5 now. All right. The second half of Spaced Out Radio is Horns Up Rockin' with Susan Masino tonight on the big show. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at YouTube or on any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Forgot to mention my name. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the guy who hosts this show each and every night. And yes, I like weird, strange things. And I don't drink coffee. As weird as it sounds, I don't drink coffee. SusanMassino.com is her website. You can find Susan's books there. Susan, you have had some UFO experiences that you've never talked about.
Yeah, I haven't written about it, but I have had dreams where I've been on ships that when I was a little kid too, I don't know if they were aliens or not, but when I was really little and I lived way up north in Wisconsin, I used to have these entities that would talk to me while I was falling asleep. And I don't remember what they were saying or anything, and I'm not sure they were aliens or what, but I used to sit up and tell them to be quiet because I didn't want my parents to hear. But I've always believed that, we're not alone here, obviously. I mean, look at the UFO sightings every day now all over the world. But one night in Wisconsin, not that many years ago, myself and my 2 girlfriends were coming back from up north going down toward Eau Claire, and there was a bright pink light off into the distance, and I thought at first it was a plane or whatever, like you usually would think, and it kept coming toward us as we're driving south, and it's still glowing pink, and the closer it gets to us, it looks like a long rectangle that's glowing from the inside out. And it's like bright, like pink, hot pink. And as it gets closer, I say to my girlfriend that's driving, I said, are you watching what I'm watching? And she's like, yeah, what is that? And so as we're getting into Osseo, which is right outside Eau Claire where they live, it was descending down behind the tree line. And we decided to drive over there to see, what was going on with it. Maybe we'd see it. We didn't know. And as we got there, on the other side of town, and we went into this parking lot where it went down behind the trees. And then all of a sudden, all 3 of us were super tired. And we decided, nah, it's okay. Let's just go home. We don't, we don't need to check this out. And we went home. And about a week later, I think you can find it on the internet. About a week later, a picture of this ship was filmed over the Green Bay Airport in Wisconsin, and people posted pictures of it. So that was cool.
You said your sightings started when you were a kid, and that
Mm.
you felt you had beings in your room. Did you ever see them, or did you just hear them?
I just heard them, but then I would I have some very vivid dreams of being on a ship, which was crazy because it was, very like cedar wood, that kind of a gold haze to everything. And there were very tall beings. And this is in a dream that I saw this. There were tall beings that were like in robes, so you couldn't see their faces or anything. And then I also saw a bunch of people that looked like to be the size of a Barbie doll. There was a whole bunch of them on that ship. And apparently they were letting me look around, which was cool. When I woke up, I could still see it in my head how vivid it was, but I wasn't afraid of them. And I was actually, when I saw all the little people, that I had a lot of respect for them, because I was like, I felt like I was imposing on being in their world. So, but yeah, I've had a lot of dream experiences of being on ships.
What's it like being on a craft? The reason why I'm believing you on this, okay, is because in my own experiences, I don't remember my dreams. Couldn't tell you what I dreamt last night. Couldn't tell you what I've dreamt for the last
Hmm.
4, 5, 6 months. But I can sure as hell tell you that I remember my dreams when aliens are involved.
Oh yeah.
And then I notice that strange things have happened.
Hmm. Oh yeah. No, I think I've been an abductee since I was a kid, and to this day, sometimes, I know it sounds crazy, but I'll still, at this point in my life, I won't remember a dream, but I'll wake up with like bruises on my hand or on my arms, like somebody grabbed me. So there would be like, fingerprint bruises. I've had that a lot. My sister has that. I have some friends that have that same experience, and it's fascinating. I mean, it doesn't scare me, but it, I went through a phase where I didn't like it, because I felt like, they're violating me and violating my life. And I went through an anger phase. But I think that for some reason you agree to do this even before you come into this lifetime. So, how mad can I be? It's obviously, I've been communing with, other life forms, and I think that's fascinating. I believe that there's a lot of different types of aliens on this planet.
What made you, or what have you experienced from being a part of that or being on those craft? What do you remember?
Well, this is really crazy, to tell the story, but when I was on the big ship that had the tall beams, I was walking down a hallway, and I opened the door, and I don't know how I knew this, but I did. And my daughter was on a table, which was she was lying in salt water, and they were projecting her memories onto a screen behind her and collecting her memories. And I felt like I was interrupting. So I shut the door and I kept walking. And then I came upon another door and I opened it up. And my dad was on a table laying in salt water, and they were collecting his memories. Now they talk about that, that might be possible, that they can, record what you're actually thinking. I had this back in like the 1980s, and so when I met the little people, there was like kind of a sunken like living room thing that I went walking down a couple stairs. I was crossing over, and I got hit in the ankle with like this wooden ball, and it hurt and it was irritating, and I kicked it out of the way, but then it was like seating all the way around with space underneath. And when I kicked the ball away, I got down on my hands and knees to see where the ball came from, and that's where I saw all the people that were about 12 inches high, and they were playing a game. So that's why I apologize for messing up their game.
Did you accidentally whistle while you were talking?
No.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this. This is real time.
Okay.
I don't know if the microphone caught it or not. And if you're in our YouTube audience on the chat room, please give us the fact that you heard it or not.
Yeah.
But about 30 seconds ago, 40 seconds ago, there was a whistle in this studio. I'm looking at Tim. He's looking at me. And there was a whistle right in between us. And
interesting.
I'm like that was right in between us. And loud. It was just, I'm not a good whistler. Yeah, just like that.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
hear that either. I didn't hear it at all.
A bunch of our audience heard it, and it was like right in between us. I'm like something like crazy right now. Oh my. Just looking at the comments in our chat room, Laura heard it. Simon in Australia heard it. Ben heard it. Troy heard it. Alaman Mesa heard it. Susan heard it. Joanne heard it. Tim heard it. Paramarv, Silent Listen. Kimberly, Sierra, Joanne, Luna.
Oh my God. Is that like somebody trying to send me a message? Like, that's enough information.
No, my studio, a lot of people say I say this because I host this show, but my studio is haunted.
Oh, okay.
I have a spirit in here, and my radio audience won't be able to hear it, but right behind me I have a lit up Bigfoot footprint. It's plastic. It shines all sorts of colors.
Mm-hmm.
And probably 3 to 4 days a week when I walk into the studio, and I'm the only one with a key to the studio, that light is on.
That's awesome.
Now, here's the weird part about it is one time Tim and I went out, I had the light off. And when we came back into the studio 5 minutes later, the light was on.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
Chat room says he just replayed it and the whistle is in there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're going to have to cut that up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to have to cut that up. Yeah, it is. I love it. I love it when that happens. Yeah, windows closed. Everything is closed here. It was just a whistle right in between us.
I wonder if it's like, okay, that's enough.
Right?
I'm disclosing too much.
Let me tell you. You were talking aliens.
I know. I know. Yep.
Yeah, wow. I'm a little off topic now. I'm a little blown away. Oh, I know what I wanted to tell you before that caught my attention. You were talking about being taken and you saw your dad and everything on there. Back in February, I had a dream that I was taken and my dad was there, my cousin was there, and my best friend growing up was there. And I got to be careful with my friend and my cousin, because there's a little bit of religion that comes into play and everything like that. So in that dream, we were in this dark alley and I had my phone with me, but I had my phone sitting on a stairwell, but it wasn't my iPhone. It was like those 1998 indestructible Nokia phones.
Okay.
So I'd went to bed after the show about 1 o'clock in the morning. And in this dream, I pick up the phone from the stairwell, say, hey guys, let's get out of here. It's getting a little dark. And all of a sudden I feel that gravitational pull. And I was like, oh, here we go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Don't want to go. I drop my phone. And next thing I know, I wake up in my bed. It's now 2:09 a.m. and I got to go to the bathroom. So I get up to go to the bathroom, and the second my feet hit the floor, I was absolutely triggered frozen.
Ooh.
And like to the point where my teeth were chattering, like I was cold. So I go to the bathroom hoping that the teeth chattering doesn't make a mess everywhere, right? And after I'm done going to the bathroom, I'm even more cold. So I jump in the shower, turn the shower hot. Like this now like 2:15 in the morning. Put the shower on as hot as I can get it. Oh, pardon me. Before this happened, I woke up and I was facing the middle of the bed, but I could feel them behind me.
Ooh. Okay.
And so my bed, I got a king size bed. I'm kind of in the middle. Behind me, because my bedroom is small, there's a little walkway, and then there's the wall with the window. So I figured, don't look, don't look, don't look. And then I'm like, no, this is what I do for a living. I'm going to look, trying to find my strength. And so I just start to turn my head and look, and out the window, I see this giant white flash, and the feeling of them being there is gone. Okay, so that's when my feet hit the ground. I go to I'm getting cold. I'm shivering, like I'm absolutely frozen. Go to the bathroom, hop in the shower. And then now that I'm warm, I crawl back into bed. So I get up in the morning and I'm very emotional because I hadn't been feeling well recently. And I was going through some changes where trying to improve my health a little bit. And my chest was cold right on the left side of my heart. My chest was cold. And the funny part about it is the few days previous to that, it had been sore. And I thought, am I starting to, I'm 51. I got to be careful. Is it Jammarooney time or what? Right.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden my chest was cold and I was crying. Like I was literally crying that it felt like something was different in my chest, almost like I had been healed. And so I go get ready for work. I get my emotions together. I go to work, or on my way to work, I call my dad because my dad was there in that dream. And so I call him up in the morning and said, "Hey, Dad, how did you sleep last night?" He goes, "Well, I got up a couple of times in the middle of the night, but, I slept okay." I said, "What time did you get up?" He goes, "Oh, I got up at 7:15 this morning." I said, "No, last night." He goes, "Well, it was around just after 2:00.
Ooh.
And I went, "What, 2:05, 2:09? He goes, "Yeah, about there." I said,
boy.
"What woke you up?" And he goes, "I heard something go bang on the floor in the other room. And I got up to look, but there was nothing there from where the sound came from." Remember, I dropped the phone in the dream.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, "What happened after that?" He goes, "I don't know. I was really cold. And I went and got an extra blanket because I was just shivering cold." And I'm laughing at this point now, right? Now, like my dad is Mr. Five Senses guy. He knows this is my thing. He tolerates it. Okay. And his friends always ask me about it, but he's Mr. Five Senses because he's afraid to believe. He doesn't want to believe. He's afraid to believe.
Right.
And I said, "Well, how do you feel this morning?" And my dad is like a 60-year smoker. Okay. 55-year smoker, and he quit a couple of years ago. And he goes, to be honest, son, I feel great. He goes, this is the first, my chest feels light. And this is the first morning in a long time I haven't been hacking or wheezing when I wake up.
Wow. That's awesome.
And he goes, why are you asking me all this? I said, Dad, you'll never understand.
Yeah.
I said, but one day I'll tell you, and maybe you'll believe me, but I don't think right now you would. And I just changed the conversation to Pepsi versus Coke. Right? Right.
Oh, that's cool. I like it.
Yeah, but that one, too many synchronicities.
Mm-hmm.
Too many synchronicities on that.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Yep. I've had my sister and I, when she's out in South Carolina now, but when I was in Wisconsin and she lived in upstate New York, I had a dream one night where I was taken and put into this house that didn't have any doors to leave through. So and I knew exactly what the living room looked like and the desk and everything, but the doors, there were no doors. And I called my younger sister the next day, and she had the exact same dream that night. And we each described the house on the inside that we were in.
no way.
Yeah, that was crazy. I still remember that one. It was very vivid. It's scary as hell. There was no doors. It's like, you're not leaving.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Yeah, I know.
That's just wrong
Yeah.
in so many ways.
Yes. Very
so
true.
many ways. We got 3.5 minutes left with you tonight, Susan. I'm going to leave the door open for you here. What is a story you want us to know before we have to say goodnight?
Oh my goodness. A story that I would want you to know. I have so many. You- I just think that I want people to be more open to things, because of so many things that I've experienced in my life, and that we talked about synchronicity, and I would like people to start paying attention to that more. You see, like, I'm into numerology and that sort of thing, and so angel numbers, 111, 222, 333, and it's really fun to find out what those mean, and then notice them in your real life, on signs, on license plates. I just love that about the universe, and I wish more people would, kind of open their minds up a little bit more to, like, there's more going on than what we think. And that, to me, is what makes life fascinating. So,
Any plans for more paranormal books?
well, I've thought about it. I've thought about, like I said, I haven't really written much about my UFO experiences because, it's been a long time. People say it all the time now that they think that they have been abducted. And so at some point, I think I will write about it. But I've been shy about that
Why have you been shy?
because, years ago, there's such a stigma to that. Of like, oh, she believes in aliens, and oh, she thinks she was abducted, and now, you see more and more people that have implants, things that were not from this world. There's obviously interactions going with more than one type of life form, and so yeah, I just it's taken me a long time to want to talk about it publicly. It's pretty terrifying for a while.
Are you comfortable with the situation and knowing about it now?
I am. I'm still kind of angry about it because I think I lost a child through it, of the abduction dreams that I
Yeah.
had. And now I've read a lot of stories of other women that went through that kind of thing, and so I was angry for a long time.
I have some friends that you might want to meet who could probably help you out with that.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah, well,
appreciate
I'll
that.
send you their names privately,
Okay.
but they could definitely help you out on that. Do me a favor, we got 40 seconds left. Tell everybody where they can find your books, your website, and more about you.
Okay. Well, I have 6 books out. They're all on Amazon, or you can go to susanmasino.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and it's easy to get a hold of me. If you have questions, feel free to, to send them to whatever you're on. And, or you can go, email me directly through my website. And, I'm out there. It's not hard to find me.
No, you're a great sport, and thank you for being on Spaced Out Radio again tonight, Susan. We absolutely love you,
Oh, I
and
love you too.
we'll talk to you very, very soon. Coming up next, Swamp Dweller kicks off hour number 3. We're going to follow that up by our good friend Tim James and the UFO Report.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
You're the best. Thank you very much.
Oh, you are too. You make it so easy. This whole 2 hours felt like 30 minutes. Missing time, Dave.
Yeah.
Missing time.
That's exactly what it was.
Yep. So thanks so
Much love,
much.
my friend. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Susan Masino, everybody. Absolutely love her. She's one of my favorites. We'll be right back, everybody. Go replay that clip of the whistle. 10:43 Pacific. That whistle still bugs me. Still bugs me. Thank you, Christine. Major Lee, Deborah Rooney ×2, Mel, and Richard. Oh, excuse me. For the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support. Isn't Susan amazing? She's phenomenal. I love her. Sorry we didn't get to any of your questions. I'll try and do better. All right, Swampy's about 3 minutes. We're coming back in 10. See how much noise Tim can make before that. UFO Report and Swamp Dweller coming up next in hour number 3. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate turning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. I forget it. Oh, yeah, musician. Thank you, Tim. Musician is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. This is a story my mom told me from when I was only 2 years old. My family has a small acreage in the Canadian prairies. It is not too far out from the city, but far enough that it was very rare to have unexpected visitors. At the time, we had some sheep and chickens, but it wasn't a very huge farm. It was just my mom, my dad, my sister, and I. My sister was at least 5 years older than me at the time, so only 7. We also had a sweet dog named Maggie. My parents have always said that she was the best farm dog we ever had. She was some sort of a Bouvier crossed with shaggy black hair and was very smart and was very nice with animals and kids. She also never barked or got upset without a very good reason, much unlike our last pup who, bless her soul, would bark at the wind. My dad was out of town this particular night, probably visiting my grandfather in this town down south. My mom was alone with just us and Maggie. My mom woke up in the middle of the night to Maggie growling. My mom's a pretty light sleeper, so it doesn't take much to wake her up, but this was very unusual behavior for our dog. My mom thought it was probably an animal, so she took a peek outside. Sometimes coyotes or large bucks would upset Maggie, so that was the most likely explanation. However, this wasn't the case that night. Our farm is right adjacent to the highway, and there is a long, unlit lane that leads into our yard. It wasn't obvious at first, but my mom saw a dark vehicle slowly creeping down the lane. The car's headlights were shut off, and we didn't have a lot of light in the yard. My mom's stomach immediately sunk. Anyone with good intentions wouldn't shut their headlights off. She also had 2 little kids in the house that she had to protect. She watched them slowly creep into the yard. I don't know how many there were, but at least a couple of guys got out of the vehicle and headed towards the shop where my dad keeps his tools, tractor, etc. At the time, there was a big power panel on the side that controlled the electricity to the yards and the house. They opened it up and started to go through it. evidently trying to figure out how to shut off the power. God knows what their intentions were. Luckily, my family has a hunting rifle. My mom grew up on a farm, so she knows how to use a gun. Rifle in hand, she quietly propped open the door just enough to stick the barrel out. She fired a few warning shots in the guys' directions. They freaked out, hopped in their vehicle, reversing all the way down the lane so that they couldn't see their license plates. I honestly have no idea what those guys were planning on or what they were doing. Maybe they just wanted to rob us. But the idea of people pulling into the yard with no headlights, shutting off the power, is unsettling. Either way, I'm extremely grateful for our sweet Maggie and badass mom for keeping us safe. It's been 21 years since this happened.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another great story. I love him. He's just absolutely amazing. And you know what? That's why he kicks off hour number 3 each and every night here on Spaced Out Radio. If you want more, just head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller, and hit subscribe. Let's go to the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
All right, I just got to kick things off, man. That whistle is still tripping me out. Just a bit. Now, we didn't have your microphone on when it happened because I thought you whistled. Mm-hmm. And I thought you whistled. And it was right in between us. Yep. Clear as day. I thought you were trying to give me a signal and I wasn't paying attention. No. No, I know. I was like, what? We're both looking at each other like, what do you want? What are you doing? That was so trippy. So trippy. I just don't get it sometimes. You know? Nope. I think I forgot to turn your mic up. That's my fault.
Oh, that's okay.
That's my fault. That was trippy though, dude.
Yeah, it was. That was, yeah. Don't even know how to describe it. Like I said, I thought that was you whistling at me because I wasn't paying attention at something, right? But the looks that we were giving each other, I was like, what are you whistling at me for? What are you whistling at me for? I was like, hang on a second. Yeah, very, very cool.
Well, if that doesn't prove that what I've been saying, that the studio here is haunted.
Yep. Absolutely no shenanigans whatsoever, people. That was straight up 100% legit.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness. That was just, you know, when it happens right in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a whole different ball game, man.
Yep.
It's a whole different ball game because you never know when it's going to happen.
Apparently not.
You know, I wonder if that's the same one that turns the Bigfoot light on.
Could be. Well, that's the first time I've ever heard a sound in the studio. I mean, we've seen the light do that weird thing and come on when automatically by itself. But yeah, first time I've ever heard anything.
Now, you know what's weird is because in my studio, you can't see them if you're in Radio Land or even on YouTube Land. But I have 2 speakers pointed at me.
Mm-hmm.
And that sound did not come from the speaker. It came from behind the speaker.
Yep. Like we were supposed to be looking up at something like, well, very strange.
Yeah. I don't get it.
No.
I don't get it at all. Paramarv asking a quick question. Does Canada celebrate October 30th as Devil's Night like portions of the U.S. does? No.
I shouldn't say no. I think that there are some, I think over the East Coast and the Maritime provinces, I think some places do, but not in BC that I know of.
No, not that I know of either.
Mm-mm.
No, I've never heard of that, to be blunt.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, it happens. We're having weird stuff happen tonight.
Exactly.
But weird.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah, my one screen just went completely blank, like it lost the internet.
I know.
So,
and my phone's not working. It's like
totally weird. Weird night.
Yep. Oh well, but a great guest. That was so awesome.
I wonder who the spirit is.
I don't know.
I mean, is it from the studio and SORHQ?
Mm-hmm.
People have felt Butch Witkowski in the studio.
Oh,
people have felt one of our our listeners, Ethereal Aura, who passed away a couple of years ago
Mhm.
in our studio. It's not the first time something paranormal's happened. That's the first time. Well, I'm weirded out. Totally weirded out right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the UFO report. We're going to start off up north of the border in Canada,
Yeah.
where you broke a story here this week.
That I didn't even know that I broke.
You didn't even know it.
Mm-mm.
That Sky Canada UFO project, the UAP report that the Canadian top scientist, Dr. Mona Niemer, is going to be bringing out with her team,
Mhm.
was supposed to be out in September.
Yeah.
Then it was late September, maybe early October.
Right.
But there's a new delay on this.
Yeah. 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 I emailed. I thought, what the heck? I'm just going to give it a go. So I emailed the head office and asked, and I think I read it the other night really quickly at the end of the show. And I just said, what's going on? It was kind of vague. It's, when's this report actually coming out? Do we have a firm date? And they actually emailed me back and said, no, we're looking now into November or December. And thank you for your question. And whatever, if you have anything else, just feel free to email. So I think I'm going to follow this up because, like you said, I didn't realize that I broke anything. I just thought I was asking a question. But yeah, I'm going to probably email them either tonight or when we're finished the show or tomorrow morning and just ask, like, so why is it delayed? Who's putting the delay on? Like, maybe dig a little deeper, pretend I'm a journalist, right? So,
well, you get to do that.
Yeah, no, that's fun. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite interesting because what is causing the delay?
Right.
That's what we need to find out.
Right.
What is causing the delay? Because originally, a couple months ago, Dr. Niemer had stated that she was getting frustrated with Canada's alphabet agencies not providing her the information that was requested.
Yeah.
And I can see where that would drive her crazy and her team crazy.
Yeah.
It would drive me crazy as well. Like, here you are waiting to have information come out. You need the information provided.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yep.
And considering this is a study for the UFO subject of everything, we need to be able to have some answers.
Agreed.
And if we're not getting answers, then there's really no point in doing the report.
No.
So
sure.
I'm curious to see if it comes out. Now, one thing that I wanted to ask you about this is, do you think that maybe, just maybe, they wanted to see what happened by holding it off until after the U.S., potentially until after the U.S. election?
There's a lot of speculation with just that exactly, coming from, different places on X and, whatever, speculation is what it is. But yeah, there's a lot of that going on. I've seen that, and people are saying, they're just waiting to see what goes on with the US, and they're waiting to see what happens with in November for the hearings. I don't know. That could be that anything's possible. That's a good possibility. But yeah, all I can do is ask the question and see if they'll answer me back. I mean, they were good last time, so you never know, right?
Well, let's see how it goes, because not only do we have the election, but on the 13th, if that hearing goes through, we're going to get another congressional hearing on the subject.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see if that actually happens. I hope it does.
Me too.
I really do hope it does, but I don't know if we're going to see it. But
yeah,
what's the holdup? That's what we need to find out. There always seems to be a holdup with these things.
Yeah, there does. And I mean, even MP Larry McGuire got into it recently too, right?
What did he say?
Okay, so he did a interview with the debrief, sorry. And I've got a little bit of it here. I'll give you some of it. It was a question and answer. So Canadian MP Larry McGuire addressed the Yukon. This kind of got it going to the Yukon shoot down event, and speculations about it following recent releases of the images. So in light of this incident, do you believe Canada's collaboration with NORAD is sufficient to address the potential risks posed by unidentified objects entering Canadian aerospace? His answer: we are currently unclear about the specific changes to NORAD's processes and the procedures they have implemented since the previous incidents. While I understand that national security, of course, considerations may limit the information they can disclose, it would be wise for them to provide updates to policymakers and the public on what is permissible. Transparency, to the extent possible, would help build trust and ensure the stakeholders are informed, and establishing a clear structure for Canada's engagement on this issue with NORAD would help improve the situation. The next question was, in recent months, both the US and Canada have acknowledged their inability to accurately identify objects in their airspace. What vulnerabilities in our Canadian defense system do you think these incidents reveal? It is abundantly clear we are still not able to categorize everything in our aerospace. Determining the origin and the intent of a UAP is paramount to ensure we adjust our capabilities to identify what is in our airspace. So the next question is where it kind of gets a little more meatier. So he says, the Pentagon, NASA, and American lawmakers have been increasingly transparent about their investigations into UAPs. Well, I don't know about that. Should Canada be more proactive in addressing UAP investigations? And what role do you think that the Office of the Science Chief Advisor Sky Canada project will play? His answer was yes, Canada needs to be more proactive in addressing UAP reports. I am looking forward to the Chief Science Advisor's report and recommendations. It will be a good starting point to have a broader conversation on the entire issue. It is my sincere hope that all government departments that are involved will cooperate and disclose the necessary information that the Chief Science Advisor requires. Next one. There's been a rise in conspiracy theories due to the lack of detailed information surrounding the UAP incidents. How do you think the Canadian government should handle public concerns and transparency on UAPs to prevent the spread of misinformation? His answer: the haphazard nature of our current approach leaves too much room for speculation. Enhancing government transparency and sharing data with researchers and the public can significantly reduce confusion and help investigations. There are a lot of talented individuals with expertise who are wanting to apply those skills and help get to the bottom of this issue. I am hopeful that Chief Science Advisor will include recommendations in her upcoming Sky Canada project report that will touch on the overclassification of government information and data. While the government will not be mandated to implement anything contained in a report, it will at least provide a foundation to build from. So I was like, all right. So now Mr. McGuire's going, okay, let's get on with this, and we need to do some stuff. I mean, it's obviously a funnel effect. I mean, he's talking about the weather balloons and the whatever and all that stuff, that Chinese weather balloons and all that good stuff. But I like the fact that he just didn't say, yeah, we need to do this. It was, yeah, we need to do this for reasons, and he's showing, I guess, cracks in the armor where we aren't efficient enough at identifying what's coming in from the sky, whether it be, military equipment or foreign bodies. So I'm hoping that he's usually pretty stand up from everything I read about him. I'm hoping that he gives a little bit of a push, and I'm going to just keep digging on this a little bit and see if I can annoy them enough to give me some proper answers.
Well, the thing that I find interesting about it is that we already know what that was.
Sure.
We know it was a combination of a drone / Chinese balloon.
Mm-hmm.
When she was defense minister, when it happened, Anita Anand announced it, that it was a balloon. And how it turned into this UFO, not UAP, conspiracy is because an Air Force general in the United States claimed they weren't sure what it is and they lost it. And then all of a sudden there's this brand new round of concern that this wasn't something. Here's the thing, guys. UFOs dodge jet fighters.
Mm.
They dodge jet fighters like anything.
Yeah.
Canada's antiquated CF-18 Hornets, which are still the first generation of the fighter, which are 42 years old, never been upgraded like the American version has or the Australian version has.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't have the radar capability to track an object so slow. Okay. And I've had this confirmed by two different sources here.
Right.
Okay. They didn't have the technology, which is why they had to call in an F-22 Raptor from Elmendorf Air Force Base in Alaska to come in and shoot it down, because they also had the specialized missiles that could lock in to a slower moving target, something Canada's arsenal doesn't have.
Absolutely.
Okay. So when the object dropped and hit the snow, it disappeared. Because when you're falling that high, you're going to sink that much into the snow.
Of course.
Especially in a glacier type snow environment. Okay. Now, there was word that they had picked it up, but they're not going to tell us whether they did or not.
No.
Okay. So why we're making how can I put it? A mountain out of a molehill about a drone / balloon and not a UFO. Okay. This is where they lie about, everybody lies about the term UAP.
Right.
Okay. This is what I don't understand. We already know what it is. It was announced. Just because an American general comes out and says, well, we don't really know what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't give it any more clout than the Minister of Defense of Canada, who says it wasn't a UFO. It was a drone about the size of a VW bug being carried by a balloon. It's that simple.
And I think the Canadian government, after it was shot down and they first took the pictures of it, said, oh yeah, no, we don't have to classify this. We can put this photo out. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, and I still haven't found anything that describes it, who told them, hey, we can't do that? Was it maybe some general from the from the United States? Or
all I did was send one of my sources that photo.
Right.
I didn't put a question mark on it or anything. This person responded to me saying it's a balloon from underneath. You can't see the tethers because it's black and white holding the object.
Gotcha.
And if you look at other balloons from the bottom angle, they look identical. Identical. So I want UFOs as much as anybody.
Heck yeah.
But when we are trying to make UFOs out of balloons, we're making ourselves look stupid.
True.
We are making ourselves look silly to the rest of the public who understands what it is. This is not the way you go for credibility.
No.
We're making up stories for the sake of making up stories. This is why, no offense to the debrief, but we need real journalists asking real questions, not ones who self-title themselves.
Right. Fair enough. Yep.
Okay. So that is my opinion on it. People may hate me for it. People may, the UFO crowd may, Dave's just being a jerk again, a curmudgeon. Get off my lawn. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's the reality of it. And so it is what it is. Believe it's a UFO, go for it.
Yeah.
Don't believe it's a UFO, go for it. It's really up to you. I don't think it's a UFO.
No.
On that note, we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Little Timmy James continues with the UFO report when we return.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
I'd love to go off on that article right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I would, but I'm just going to bite my tongue.
Nope.
Susie B, where the hell have you been? Where have you been? Thomas Rock, how are you?
I'm just waiting for more whistling or something.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, we'll have to see. I'll do that email up and press it a little more.
This is why, that's the exact story right now as to why I wish I didn't have to work my daytime job.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I get it.
It frustrates the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And it picks my hide when we're trying to lead an audience on to a conclusion.
Right.
That's why we need real journalists.
That's right.
Covering this story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just kind of like the way that I saw it, the way I read it, is the way that McGuire wanted it. It like didn't matter what it was. Like, I agree with you. We all know it was a balloon with a drone. I get it. But I like the fact that he's using whatever means necessary, I guess. So he's got some crappy article that some guy that interviewed him, but he's using it to try to roll the ball. We need to do this. So he's stating, I think the questions were goofy, but I think the way that he was stating his answers possibly seemed a little bit more like, yeah, Canada needs to take a look at this. And we need to all group up here and be transparent, or whatever you want to call it. I kind of like the way he circumvented it and didn't really pay attention to the questions. I don't know. I thought it was.
Well, the thing is, it was just a Q&A.
It is.
Here's a bunch of questions I'm asking you on an email. And then there's the responses there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Once again, biting my tongue. Lex Diaz, how are you? Where are we starting next?
Mr. Grush.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's so weird, man.
National Archives released a bunch of documents. That's kind of interesting.
Heavily redacted. Oh.
Actually, some of these are pretty good.
It's all right.
There's a bunch of them on here.
Oh, okay, cool.
10 seconds. Thank you, Jennifer, Christine, Major Lee, Deborah Rudy ×2, Mel, and Richard for the super chats. Here we go, everybody. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We really appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's Tim James. Here's me. UFO Report. You got some news on David Grush.
Yeah. So, Mr. Grush, the jury trial for him set for June the 2nd of 2025. So, obviously, Grush, a retired Air Force officer who testified before Congress that the U.S. government was involved for decades in a secret crash retrieval and reverse engineering program involving UFOs, is suing Loudoun County Sheriff Mike Chapman and an unidentified sheriff's office employee for releasing personal information about him. So, Mr. Grush Mr. Grush says in a $2.5 million lawsuit filed on the 16th of July in Loudoun Circuit Court that a sheriff's office employee improperly released highly sensitive personal information about his medical history in response to a Freedom of Information Act requested on July 30th of 2023. The employee is identified as only Jane Doe. Okay. So in an email to the Times, Sheriff's Office spokesman Thomas Julia said the agency acted in accordance with the law in responding to the referenced Freedom of Information Act and disagrees with the allegations filed. Ken Klippenstein, then a reporter for the Intercept, filed the records request 4 days after Grush testified before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Grush told the committee that several current and former members of the intelligence community and military provided him with photos, official documentation, and classified oral testimony about the program. According to a transcript of his remarks, Grush said that he filed a whistleblower complaint with the U.S. Office of the Intelligence Community Inspector General and suffered retaliation for his actions. A sheriff's office employee provided Klippenstein with an incident report detailing why a magistrate in October of 2018 issued an emergency custody order to detain Grush involuntarily at Innova's Loudoun Adult Medical Psychiatric Service Program for psychiatric evaluation, according to the lawsuit. An ECO allows people deemed by the magistrate to be a danger to themselves or others to be held for up to 8 hours for an evaluation. A mental health worker who evaluated Grush sought a temporary detention order for him, but Grush was not committed, as was consequently released, according to the suit. A TDO allows a person deemed a danger to themselves or others to be held up to 72 hours before a civil commitment hearing. Reports and court documents related to an involuntary admission are excluded from being released under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, according to the suit. The defendants had no authority to exercise discretion when releasing information related to the plaintiff's involuntary admission records, reports, and or documents, the suit says. The disclosure to Klippenstein was prohibited by law. The Intercept, an online investigative news site, published the article on August 9th, 2023. That included a redacted version of the incident report in It said Grush's wife called the sheriff's office to report that he was drunk and experiencing a mental health crisis in their home. The couple sold the home in 2019, according to the county property records. The article said that the security clearances which Grush had are subject to strict requirements and questioned why Grush was allowed to keep his clearance after the 2018 incident. The lawsuit says the article caused Grush to suffer personally and professionally. So I'm thinking he's probably been off the map a little bit, because I'm sure he's worried about this and got a lot of stuff going on, right?
Well, there's a reason why he's quiet right now, and I think this is because of it. And you don't need people saying things in public,
right,
when that's going to be the hot button topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I might be the bearer of bad news. I think this is going to get thrown out. I really do. But let me explain why.
Sure, yeah.
Because when you get arrested, your record is public record.
Yes.
Okay. So whatever happened that night when he was having his episode from PTSD as being an Air Force veteran.
Yep.
And God bless him for serving. Okay. And anybody for serving. We love our veterans around here.
100%. Yes.
Okay. The minute you get arrested, that goes public. So the police chief or whoever is being sued would have given the report that was that anybody, you, me, anybody can go look at.
Sure.
Now, the fault of this and where the fire is on this is this. Independent shock journalist Keith Klippenstein.
Yes.
He kind of broke an unwritten rule in journalism.
Oh, okay.
Which is you never report on someone's health.
Oh,
okay. Unless they are famous, okay, one way or another, maybe an athlete or you know, like for instance, when Chester Pennington unalived himself, and then right after Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
You talk about that, or Kurt Cobain, or you know, the NHL had a run of their former tough guys claiming their own lives because of CTE.
Yeah.
Due to head injuries.
Yes.
From fighting.
Yeah.
Okay. That, because they are public, that's when it kind of shades the rule. But for John and Jane Doe who are out there, their medical records, unless they pertain to a court case, are usually something we never report on. So, for instance, when I was in radio, I covered a lot of, you know, you show up at a scene because a body had been found.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you find out that it was somebody taking their own life.
Right.
You just throw it in the garbage. Nobody wants. The family is grieving enough.
Exactly.
You don't need to do that. Now, if it's murder or if it's some other way, you know, then it's something that you report on.
Right.
But there's that unwritten rule. And the thing is, we know that Klippenstein was given the information by sources trying to discredit Grush.
There we go.
Okay. And unfortunately, Klippenstein followed his lead.
Yeah.
Okay. And figured, I'm not a UFO guy. I believe this is all bogus. So let's see if we could take this guy down. It was ugly. It wasn't professional.
No.
Wasn't professional whatsoever, because he went after the person's character.
Yes. Okay. Understood.
You can't sue over that because it's the uglier side of journalism, but there was no defamation. Everything was true.
Yeah.
Okay. He was just told by insiders at the Pentagon where to look.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they tipped him off. They knew he was a little bit of a combative journalist.
Yeah.
So they figured, this is our guy.
Perfect.
And he took the bait. Right?
Yeah. So the government has clean hands. And
the police, unless they gave him information that was sealed,
okay,
this is going to get thrown out.
Okay. Yeah. makes
Okay.
sense.
It's going to get thrown out. We may not like it. Okay. I
Yeah.
don't agree with it. I
Right.
think it was a shabby piece of journalism. I'm
Mhm.
on record for saying that.
Yeah.
But, and not that I'm the journalism police, but there is a lot of bad journalism in this field.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's just call it for what it is.
Mhm.
It was a hit piece.
Ah.
Okay. It was a hit piece to try and ruin him, try and discredit David Grush. And it got all the skeptics and non-believers fired up, saying, aha, told you.
There we go.
Aha, one of those aha caught you moments.
Got it.
Okay. That was a setup.
Yeah.
So lawsuit, I think, is going against that. Okay. The rest of it he got from the people on the inside.
Right.
I don't think the lawsuit's going anywhere.
We'll see. And then you just explained everything that I was curious about. I was like, well, why isn't he being protected, or why wasn't he being protected, or why wasn't, why didn't the government step in? Oh yeah, I guess not. Right. Yep.
I do have a couple of stories.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a new UFO reporting database.
Mm-hmm.
Like we need another one.
Yay.
I think the total is now 1,642.
Yeah.
God, there's more UFO reporting databases than Brian Bowden podcasts right now. And that's hard to believe.
Right.
UFOtimeline.com has launched,
Mm-hmm.
and they call it the ultimate UFO research tool. Some of it is coming soon. Okay. And it says a UFO timeline is a brainchild of a single dedicated UFO enthusiast with a vision to revolutionize how we explore and understand UFO history. What began as a personal project to organize and visualize UFO events has evolved into a groundbreaking research tool unlike anything else in the field of ufology. As a passionate UFO researcher, I often found myself struggling to place the myriad of UFO incidents I had heard about in a coherent historical context. I yearned for a way to visualize these events on a timeline to see how they related to one another and to the broader historical movements. Desire sparked the creation of the UFO timeline. I'm excited about this one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this one is government operated or government infiltrated.
Right.
And I don't know if it's going to be behind a paywall or anything. We're just learning about this.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk to this guy because this is real interesting on how they put it together, from major events to tech events, military contact, alien abductions, interactions, sightings, mass sightings, high strangeness.
Huh.
I want to see this. This could be a game changer.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
It really could be a game changer for searching cases, exploring data, checking out timelines, because timelines are so important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the one thing that timelines do is they provide pattern.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we got to try and get this guy on. I'm actually excited about this one. Normally, I try and steer people away from this kind of stuff because I want our listeners not to have a bias on their thinking.
Right.
Keep an open mind with everything.
Absolutely.
But this could be a very, very good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of excited about this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it is, just with audio and everything.
No way.
Yeah.
We should.
This looks good. This looks really, really good. The other one we want to talk about is if you go to the National Archives, they released a bunch of UFO photos.
Cool.
It's up to you whether you believe that they are something, but apparently they are photos that allegedly have UFOs on them.
Sweet.
Not UAPs.
Oh.
UFOs.
Old school.
Isn't it kind of weird how, when you go on one of these timeline feeds that all of a sudden it's all about UFOs and not about UAPs?
Mm-hmm.
That is something I found very, very interesting regarding this. So if you go to catalogs or catalog.archives.gov, you can actually see they title it. People, look, I'm going to get on my pedestal here for a second.
Excellent.
Okay. These aren't titled UAPs. It is titled unidentified flying objects. Okay? You know why? UAPs are not UFOs.
No.
They are not UFOs. Why do we still have these government agencies
Mm-hmm.
and archives calling them UFOs if they're UAPs? That's because UAPs are man-made. And we've all new ufology since the TTSA came out. We've all bought into this UAP crap. Okay? Because it's the hip woke thing to do. It's UFO woke. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Get it out of your head. And I know I'm in the minority here
I don't know.
of people complaining that we're looking for UAPs. A UFO falls under a UAP. Okay? There is a reason, because they can hide it under that acronym.
Yeah.
But the government, on their own website, their own archive site, is calling it a UFO, unidentified flying object.
That department didn't get the memo.
Well, if the UFO world actually paid attention rather than to UAP this, UAP that,
yeah,
we'd be further ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I've noticed even on some of the drama TV shows, like scripted shows, they're now using UAP instead of UFO. We were watching a show last night that my wife and I, and remain nameless, and we were both watching, and the gentleman said, "So you believe in this UAP stuff?" And the other guy's like, "Yeah, of course." And the non-human intelligence, the NHI. And as soon as he said UAP, we both just kind of went. So now mainstream dramatic scripted television is using that.
Well, they're going to.
Yeah.
They're going to, because that's the terme du jour.
Yeah, right.
That's the one where everybody's got their whipped cream on their ice cream.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. They want to sound cool,
yeah,
and intact. And the reason why they go with that is because the term UFO is so brought together by little green men.
Yeah.
Marvin the Martian, who I'm a big fan of, got a tattoo of his. Okay. And that sort of tinfoil conspiracy where the only people who buy into this are people who are uneducated, who have no dental plan, who have never made $1 more than minimum wage.
Yeah.
They've never worked a credible job, even though every job is credible. Okay. But this is the paramount study that they think UFO people are. Okay. That they literally walk around their house with a Faraday cage over their head and tinfoil underwear. Okay.
Yes.
This is where it all comes down.
Mm-hmm.
And so even during the flap of the Chinese drones and balloons, military officials were using the term, this is not a UFO. It's not a UFO. Well, what's a UFO? We've been told there's no such thing as UFO. It's UAP.
That's right.
So now I'm a UApologist. Look, I know there's people out there who like the term better.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's part of the problem. Not everybody's going to agree with me. I know I'm in the minority.
Yeah. No, I'm
in today's ufology. I know I'm in the minority. Okay. But when we buy into a system as a collective, that's how we lose focus of what is truly happening.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd give a certain example. Okay. But because of our show, I will not give that example. Right.
Yeah.
So you could call them whatever you want, but if you're not understanding that there is a true divide between UFO and UAP, where UAP are man-made objects and UFOs, they have no clue what they are, that's the difference.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I find that it's the classification and the vocabulary, right?
No, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It's all part of the vocabulary,
Yeah.
right?
Verbal judo.
It's all part of the vocabulary.
Yeah. No doubt. And I like it. And I have a hard time too, even when I'm reporting and I'm pulling stuff up. I want to change UAP to UFO and all like, but
just do it.
Yeah, for sure. But it's like, I read it and every time I read UAP, I go, it's not what, and I have changed it to UFO, but I didn't know if that's very cool.
I do.
Okay.
I try and do it as much as possible.
All right. Just making sure.
You know, hey,
you don't want to be changing.
They are what they are.
Yeah.
They are what they are. And you're not going to change everybody.
No. And that's okay.
You know,
that's all right.
You're not going to change everybody. But I know on this show, it's still UFO.
Yeah, baby.
And that's I don't try for man-made objects. And the other thing too about that is time is winding down.
Yep.
Just remember this. UFOs or UAP only seem to happen over military bases.
That's right. I forgot.
Okay.
Nowhere else.
They're nowhere else but military bases and training areas.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, bud.
No problem.
As we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elga, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X, at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyrighted by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friends,
don't make a mistake. We're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night, everybody. We are clear.
Clear.
If I'm a little fiery today, let me tell you why.
Tell us why, Dave.
Okay, first off, that little mute thing that happened there, that's because I tried to mute myself and I forgot that Tim and I are on the same patch into my mixing board. Oops is right. Yeah, so that's what happened there. But let me tell you why I'm fired up tonight.
Okay.
Sometimes it's the little things that set me off. So after hockey, my son says, "Hey, Dad, I worked really hard tonight." And I said, "Yeah, you did," because I watched him. And he goes, "I just wish between now and the radio show that you had time to get me a treat because I worked really hard."
Nice.
And I said, and, I'm kind of a sucker for that guy. I'm that dad.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Cool dad.
And the one thing that I do with my kids is I've always rewarded them for hard work.
Yeah.
And he worked really hard tonight because him and I had a talk about it because during one of his hockey games this past weekend, he was just a slug.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Just a slug. And we politely had a conversation
Of course.
when you make a commitment to a team, okay, they're relying on you just like you're relying on them. And so we had a good conversation about that.
Excellent.
No, and it wasn't one of these parent things, nightmare things that you see where parents are rah, 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 rah.
No,
Not that.
No.
But it was lesson learning.
Good deal.
And hi, Queen Peachy Keen and Stephanie Jackson. How are you both? Anyways, that's nice levels tonight. Very nice levels.
Perfect.
So anyways, I said, what do you want, boy? What do you want? And he goes, Dad, I'd really like an ice cream cone.
On it.
I said, perfect. Let's stop at Dairy Queen. I'll get you an ice cream cone. And he goes, can I even get a little bit of whipped cream put at the top of the curly Q? I said, absolutely.
Attaboy.
That's what he likes. My boy worked hard.
Yeah.
$6.28 for a medium ice cream cone.
Yeah.
$6.28. How in the frickin' reality is an ice cream cone $6.28?
Yeah.
They even charged me an extra $1 for those 5 cents worth of whipped cream.
No way.
Yes.
Gee.
Okay.
Oh, man.
The guy was very proud. That whipped cream's an extra $1. Okay, fine, whatever. Okay, I'll pay the extra loony for it.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
But $6.28 for a fucking ice cream cone.
Yeah.
You know what, Dairy Queen? Pardon my language, but go fuck yourself. Okay? Honestly.
Yeah.
I'm just, you know what? I don't mean to be rude, okay? Because I think that's the Canadian thing. I don't like being rude.
No, of course.
Okay? But $6.28 for a goddamn fucking ice cream cone sets me off.
Yeah.
No wonder people are struggling.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Because everybody is taking advantage of the bullshit taxes, of the bullshit economy. And I don't know what I'm not speaking for the United States,
no.
okay?
I'm talking about
I'm
Canada.
speaking for Canada right now.
Yep.
And here we are paying $6.28. I can go to a bar and get a beer cheaper than that.
That's right.
I can still get a $5 beer, which I've always paid $4 to $5 for a beer, real beer, not this Coors Light piss.
Oh,
okay.
Headache beer.
And an ice cream at Dairy Queen costs me more than a beer at the bar.
Yep. Well, even the grocery store, right? Like I said, you could have gone into, and I mean, obviously not going to buy it, but I mean, in comparison, that tub, you go into our local grocery store and you buy one of those tubs, they're under $6. I think they're $5.95 or something. And you can feed the whole family for a week on that stuff. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I did that when I went through a drive-through at A&W. That was a couple of years ago. Went in just to get my lunch, and it was like a teen burger, some fries, and a root beer. Come around. The guy goes, that'll be $20. I was like, excuse me?
A Big Mac combo
right
at McDonald's up here, where they actually serve real meat because they have to under Canadian law.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is $14.
I know.
$14 for a Big Mac combo. Right?
Yeah.
You can't even get bad food for cheap now.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah. No, for sure. I remember, man, that's just, I'm dating myself, but I remember my dad giving me a $2 bill. I remember back in the day, gave me a $2 bill, rode my bike up to a place that we used to have, and it was called Tasty Freeze. I don't know if they had them in the States or whatever. It was just a little drive-in, and I don't think they're around anymore. But for $2, I went in, I got a foot-long hot dog, I got a milkshake and fries. And I even had enough money left over at the time for a banana split. $2.
Yeah, but you're old.
I know. That's why I was talking like this. Yeah, now I'm sounding like my grandfather or something. It's like, yeah, I just thought about that.
You know what? Look, I know prices go up. Everything
Of course.
goes up.
Of course.
Salaries go up. Everything goes up. People have to live.
Yeah.
Okay. But there are certain things,
Ooh.
okay, that
Yeah.
I understand going up $1 or $2.
Yeah.
But $5-7, okay, $6.50 for an ice cream cone.
Yeah. Well, the other one that gets me with, I mean, again, you're right. Prices go up, but they go up too much sometimes. But what gets me is you go and your favorite coffee place, and you just get a regular coffee, not any foo-foo shishi with sprinkles and junk on it. Just a
Basically what you could get at Solstice, Noshri, and Tea Room,
exactly.
the foo-foo drinks.
Yeah, right. The same stuff that you get out of your.
We're gonna cut this out.
Yeah, I know. No, I'll play it for it. The same stuff you get in a pot at home. I'll take a medium with 1 cream. You get up there, the coffee's $2.40. You go to tap, and then you get locked into that obligatory. How much do you want to give a tip? I was like, okay, seriously? I just ordered a $2.75 cup of coffee, and now I'm in that purgatory of I can't back out of giving a tip on the debit machine. It's like, and I've just come to the point now, I just go, how do I not give a tip? Oh, you just have to press enter 4 times and then press 14414 or something. It's like, well, there's a secret code to get out of it now. But yeah, that one drives me nuts. And I get it. I worked in the food industry as a young guy, and it's tips and tips. But when Dave says, "Hey, could you pass me a bottle of water?" and I go like that, reach into the cooler and throw it over to him and go, that'd be $2, and then what? No tip? Well, no. I'm sorry.
And
That's
then
me.
a lot of these fast food restaurants that are offering tips now, the owner pockets them.
Yes. I've heard
that's
that.
happening here in town with the Subway. Yeah, don't tip. If you tip by card,
the owner's taking it.
The owner takes it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He has his beautiful staff of young women.
That's right.
Who work there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who are all new to the country, which I have no problem with.
Yeah.
Come for a better life.
Absolutely.
That's what Canada's all about.
You got her.
Okay. And he takes advantage of them. By every time you hit tip on that, like 10, 15, 20, 25%, okay, he keeps it for himself.
Wow, that's such a douche move.
It is. And the girls now are standing up for themselves.
Good.
And they're saying, don't tip us. They'll even erase the tip.
Oh yeah. Good for them.
Yeah. Good for them.
No.
But you don't, as much as things gone up, you don't take advantage of people.
No, 100%.
Okay. You don't take advantage of people at any time.
Yeah.
And the service industry, especially fast food, it's a tough job. I've never worked fast food.
No.
Swore to myself I never would.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge anybody who works in the fast food or service industry because they work hard.
Yeah, they do. They're machines. I mean, I worked at the Golden Arches, but I wasn't a cook. I did the maintenance stuff, right? I took apart all the machines and cleaned them and stuff. And I got to give them 100% credit, at least up in Canada. The cleanliness that they go through, holy mac. Like, it's spotless. It is spotless when you're done. But anyway, yeah.
Well, Tim Hortons can take a lesson, because you know what's really unattractive about our Tim Hortons, and I've seen it at a couple others, is around, and if you look, you'll see them, is around the drive-through section.
Yeah.
You'll actually see rat traps.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've seen those for sure.
Like, you might want to cover that up rather than give the impression that your area, your workplace is filthy dirty, that is attracting rats. And look, I know rats are attracted to food.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I get that. I'm not that stupid.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of dumb up here.
Yeah, I got that too.
I'm not that stupid.
No.
But at least cover them up professionally,
Yeah.
not just leave them out there for everybody and their dog to say, oh, by the way, we got rats. And by the way, when they're unloading the Tim Hortons truck, our
The
door
door's
is wide open.
I know.
You morons.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, I'm fired up. $6.28 ice cream cone.
Yeah. That's going to be your favorite number from now on. What's your favorite number, Dave? 628. Yeah. No, I don't know. Like I say, service industry, I respect those people, man. They work hard for the money. And I worked at, like I say, didn't work at McDonald's like that, but I worked at the Keg. I was a cook and I was a server at different,
the Keg.
Yeah. And you earned it. And again, I'm not trying to sound old, but you earned your tip and it was good service and whatever. But there's the other side of that coin too, because you've always got that one jerk, male, female, doesn't matter. And I've seen it when I've been working in like when I worked in bars, especially in Whistler. You get the snobs that roll in and whatever, they've got an attitude. And I remember there was a dude that was sitting at the table with a bunch of his buddies, and he'd come out from back east, and he had a stack of toonies, looked like a poker chip stack. And I was serving this one table, and the waitress was working right next to me. So it was kind of like our border. I'm putting the beer down for this couple and whatever their drinks. And I hear the guy go, shink, and drop them all in a stack and go, I want a bottle of beer. He was drinking Budweiser. I still remember it. I want a bottle of beer every 15 minutes. He goes, that is your tip. And he goes, if my beer gets down lower than a quarter full sitting on that table, I take away from your tip. I was like, I turned around to her when we got back up to the bar. I said, hey, you know what? I said, I would just do what you do. I says, but it's like, who the heck are you? Like, that is she's busting her butt. And you're playing this game like, and if you don't get it the way that I want it done, I'm just going to remove this. So this is yours. You better work for that. I was like, that's, taking a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah, too far.
Now, I will say this. When I go get a haircut, the one thing how I judge a good haircut, because I got nice hair.
Yeah, you do. Me too.
Okay. The one thing that I do to judge a haircut is if the person can put me to sleep.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I remember those days.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they can put me to sleep with the head massage after the shampoo.
Yeah.
Okay. Your tip goes up exponentially.
And that's different. That's a cool thing, right?
Yeah. And I tip well.
Yeah.
I don't, on anybody here, I try and tip well.
Yeah.
But these demanded tips now?
No.
I'll tell you one thing. I went to the Keg in Abbotsford one day.
Yep.
It's my nephew's birthday. He wanted. I said, where do you want to go? We'll take you anywhere you want to go. So I'd like to go to the Keg for a steak. Uncle.
Nice.
So there were about 10 of us.
Yep.
Okay. I'm looking at this one section. It's wide open. Okay.
Yeah.
They jammed 10 of us into it, or 12 of us into an area where there was a hockey banquet dinner going on.
Perfect.
Okay. Literally 3 inches between chairs.
No.
Okay. The servers could not even get down the aisle to deliver the food. Okay. They're literally frisbeeing your plates over to you. Right.
Yeah.
And I went to the manager and I said, can we move?
Yeah.
I said, we have a hockey banquet right above us, behind us. And she looks around. She's like, sorry, we don't have any other tables available. I said, that section is wide open.
Yeah.
It's been open for almost 35 minutes. Oh, it's reserved. Oh, really? Okay.
Uh-huh.
I said, okay.
Yeah.
Our bill that night was $298.
All right.
Okay. My portion, because I covered my nephew.
I get it. Okay.
Myself
I was
and
like,
my
for
ex-wife
12
and my
people.
kids. Okay. So it was about $300 for me.
Okay.
And say $500 total.
Sure.
0 tip.
Oh.
0. If you're going to treat me with that much disrespect.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care how hard your server's working.
Mm,
That's the restaurant's fault.
yes. Yeah.
Okay. If you're going to treat me as a consumer with that much disrespect,
Mhm.
I didn't tip a thing.
Well,
And I went up to the manager and I said, we didn't get drinks all night because of this group.
yeah.
We were uncomfortable. We couldn't hear a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Our server couldn't even get down to bring our food. We had to do the old shuffle
Yeah.
with plates, right?
Just like you're at home.
Yeah.
What's the point?
And I said, screw you.
No, for
I
sure.
didn't go to that keg for like 5 years.
Yeah. No, that's a
I went
bad
back
experience.
because lobster days.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, anyways, that's my gripe.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, and be upset, man.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yep.
See, if you hold it in, that's when you got the issue. It's funny because those little things add up.
They do.
It seems so petty, but they do. They do for me
just-
anyway.
I don't know. It just bugs me.
Mm-hmm.
It just bugs me.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
What am I supposed to do? It bugs the hell out of me. It does. Bugs the hell out of me.
Yeesh.
Oh, well. All right. Tomorrow night on the show. Let's see here. Who is on? Sheila Seppi is going to join us, along with Barbara Lamb. Star Season Hybrids tomorrow night.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
How's November looking? Wide open. Well, no, we only got like 5-6 days to fill.
No, okay,
That'll be good.
Excellent.
That'll be good. We'll get that. I got to get on that with Filthy. But yeah, we're looking good here, people. Hey, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to our new subscribers. Thank you tonight to Tim Mothman and his goatee, Deborah Rooney with a hat trick, Dead Man with his first ever super chat. Just found the show.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Beauty.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer, Christine, and Major Lee, Richard, and Mel WD40 for lubing us up, working hard, lubing us up all night. And he still had time to give us a super chat.
Attaboy.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night. And sweet Robbie G, are they going to your room? Let us know. Type it in the chat room. If you're around here and Robbie G's having a show, head on over to his channel. He'll post the link, and you guys get going from there. Good night, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.